No.
Thank you. Oh, shoot, second. He's here, thanks. Thank you.
Wow,
Okay,
exactly.
let's call the Schenectady City Council Committee meeting for Friday, October 18th. We have the committee, finance, I'll turn it over to Mr. Mutu.
Thank you, Madam President. I would like to call the Finance Committee to order. And we will continue our budget discussion on the proposed 2025 budget. So before I proceed, Dorian, you have a copy of the revised version? Derek, can we make a copy of the revised version for Dorian, please?
I sent it out.
Did you give it to me?
Doreen doesn't have a copy and it's kind of like,
Are you looking for the adjustments from yesterday?
no.
This
The
thing?
yes, but,
John, this,
no, the
Oh.
budget that was,
the spreadsheet that he sent to us?
no.
No, the entire
Budget that
Oh,
was, revision,
okay.
the revised
She
version.
means this, she means.
Yes,
Revised?
Yeah.
This copy here.
You can, I'm not using mine if you want.
Yeah, you,
She didn't, Doreen wasn't here for that, she didn't get one.
copy?
yeah.
Okay, that's okay.
I can print it out if you want me
Ms.
to.
Patrick, you're gonna give her.
I do have one someplace, and I don't use it.
Doreen told me that she doesn't have a copy of it.
But how does that differ from,
And I was explaining, that's what I was trying to explain to Doreen, that it's not much difference, it's just a separation.
as long as there's no difference?
No, it's no difference, no, that's cool.
Separates the ARPA.
Articles.
Yeah, that's-
It's just a separation of the output, so I was talking to Doreen today, she said she doesn't have a copy that she can discuss in,
I had
you
one,
know.
I gave it to Maxine.
Yeah. So I wanna make sure all the members have a copy available, so that when we discuss, we do not, put ourselves at, disadvantage.
You want me to print a copy, or do you want to?
Yes, I would like to, yes,
One of the council members here.
I would like you to print a copy for me, please.
Is yours written on?
No, I've been using
But you're
my,
gonna still,
I've been
need
using my
one.
usual one.
You're gonna
Right,
still need
I'm
one.
using my
Okay.
usual one as well.
So you don't need a copy of that,
Well, I'd like a copy of everything that was given out. Like I said, I
Yeah.
gave mine away.
So-
Yes. Could we use your name?
Yes.
And then,
Thank you.
then she'll have a
I
copy
need me to say
as
here.
well. Ms. Patrick has not written on hers.
okay.
All right?
So before the end of the meeting, I would like a copy for, to
As
replace,
opposed to
Ms. Patrick.
this room.
Just one copy.
Two, please.
Yes. I just wanna make sure everybody has all the documentation and that,
What is this?
Not bad.
God's sake. You want me to test it for you? I'll be like a good,
Everybody else has, they're still
good
alive.
tester.
You don't like our water?
Well, it's not your water, don't take it personal, it's just the water on the table. It's all about the water.
It's the people that clean. You're probably getting theirs. And
Did you get one of these?
Everybody gets one.
Clean enough the water?
I'm always thinking,
That's the people who need one.
this is stuff we went through last year, it's, you know, given the updated stuff out of the charter, amendments from 79, which are clear.
Yeah, that's why I asked. We talked about, I wanted to make sure we share everybody's on the same.
This is incorrect. He has the charter, we went through this last year, making copies of it, bring it down.
That's what I think too, because it's different from what we were showing. All right, good, thank you for that. Because I saw it and I was like. Okay. Yeah, that was the reason why I printed it out, because it was like, it doesn't like the last year. Yeah. We're missing Anthony tonight?
Yeah, he said last night he wouldn't be here.
Sir, you have your laptop? You have your laptop? already.
You can't afford it.
Hey, that's why I asked for $60,000.
We're taking cuts for the team.
No, that's why I asked for $60,000, upgrade all the machine. It's that time to buy a laptop.
That's like, everyone includes desktops, not laptops.
The 60,000 go on talking about the desktop? The desktops. He's the movie, huh?
I prefer that. Laptops
So
are-
that-
You know,
Yeah, exactly. Internal policy, desktop versus laptop.
credit card.
There's security issues with it,
No, I
but
don't think so.
there are, I thought they weren't gonna replace all the desktops, some of them would be laptops.
It'll be a VPN if they're offsite. And you keep it on the secure side.
laptops are not that much money.
Don't worry, Derek, you will get a laptop.
Boy,
So that means you will have to work 7 days a week.
really? From home?
Yep, from your car, from hotel, from your, at the lake, at the beach.
Sure that happens.
Right here.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Oops.
I think I gave too many.
Yeah, that's what they do. I was like,
Hey, Chief.
I'm sorry.
you, Mara.
Thanks.
Is it okay? All right, so let's continue. You should have in your package some reports that was requested from last evening. And we'll just go through the one with regards to the salary recommendation. You don't know. I think I'm happy with the. No. I did that as something.
I think you did actually, yeah.
Yeah, Ms. Williams, I think most of these were brought up by you. If I'm not mistaken, correct me. Would you want to look at it to make sure all are captured in this here? And then Mr. Farley, you had one year in the youth program.
Mr. Rivera, I just wanted to add something based on the email that was sent out to all of us.
Go ahead, please.
So, everybody received an email from another staff person, the principal planner, who was not considered, so I would like us to consider that individual for a raise as well. They do show up on the sheet that Anthony gave us, however, it was not part of the recommendations. And everybody got the email?
Sam, can you please print that email?
Sure.
Sorry, I missed that.
It's on this.
Did everyone receive it?
Oh, okay.
Yes, everyone received that email, but if you don't mind, please.
It came from Sam.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
We get more out of the offer.
And that line is A8686, if you need to look in your budget document. 86,
What page is that, John?
The 86,
all the way to the back. 50.
Right. Trying to get there fast.
Ms. Porterfield, you just wanna touch on that item now?
Well, as I said, this individual by their supervisor was asked to be considered for an increase, and it was not brought forward, and so they were aware, as you can read that email, and so send this email with more information that I know anyway, and is asking for an increase, and I feel like based on their level of education and their years of service to the city, it's not an unreasonable ask, and would ask that council members would consider that.
Discussion. So what you're doing, just for the sake of numbers, so the 2024 salary is $84,333, and the proposed salary for 2025 is $86,863. And the recommendation from you is to bring this up to 10% from 2024,
That would be, yes.
and that will bring that number to $93,360. That isn't the package on the breakdown, and that's on that. That's what I'm getting that from. Discussion on this.
Well, I guess for me, it's a little concerning in that maybe we should have requested our HR department do a market research for every department head and administrative positions. That we're opening up a door for administrators to, if they don't, I mean, the chief executive officer does performance evaluations and judges performance and judges all of those things. We don't work with these folks that closely and can't speak to that. I mean, I'm sure they're doing great jobs, I mean, doing their jobs, but I think it just usurps the process, and it opens the door for, and it puts us in positions for every department to come up and know that they're doing great service for the city, and saying no, or saying yes, and I think, I mean, that's kind of our job, we have that authority. But I'm just concerned that the precedent, and their individual cases, I'm just concerned that of us doing that, then where does it end? And we have to be mindful that we're looking at a tax increase and a significant deficit next year, and going to 10% increases in a time where we're raising taxes is I think, concerning to me. We only have a couple folks requesting it, but we're opening up a door. And that concerns me, that we have a process in place. Maybe we can look at that or do market analysis, but this just concerns me, the way that we're doing this, that it could strike favoritism and puts us in a position that I'm just not comfortable with, but I'm certainly open. That's my take on it. Go ahead, please.
Mr. Chairman, basically, every management employee asks for a raise greater than what I put in the budget. conflict. I sent an email out today because the council's going down this road of piecemealing it. You know, if people want pay raise, they can go directly to the council. You know, it's just sets the wrong tone. It does undermine my ability to manage the city.
I mean, just having the experience as a department head, I would see that too. This is like, you know, this is you put me in this position of voters, but even a department head to make those recommendations, and, you know, at the county, it would be the legislature, something going around me, and the legislature doesn't know the day-to-day activities of my challenges that I may or may be having with that individual if I felt. You know, I think I like the 3% raise because it looks like it's pretty much across the board, except for those special conditions that were justified. But doing it this way, I think everyone can come up and make that request. It probably could be something we would consider. But in the fiscal times that we're facing right now, and just the process of having someone like our department, now I think I'm comfortable with 3%. And I'm going to go to the council and make a case for myself. So thanks, but no thanks. That concerns me.
So speaking, so just to be clear, this person's recommendation was from their department head, from the person that works with them day to day. So that's not, the recommendation came from the department head. I think you were here for the meeting when the recommendation was made. And then when it wasn't considered, the individual followed up to say, I was recommended, and here's the reasons, and I'd like to give you some backup on why I think that, you know, I should be considered. And I have to tell you, this similar situation happened several years ago, and there was where an individual came to the council and asked for it. So this is not the first time it's happened. We've done it before. So I don't know, as you talk about setting a precedent, it happened before, and there was no like anything sent out to the entire staff to say this person did it and now you can do it. It happened, you know, and so, you know, we voted that person through.
Mm-hmm.
They still work here, doing a great job. So I don't see that, if I don't know what the mayor does in terms of management coming to him, in terms of that, we can only go with what we were given, and this was given to us by the finance department. That's the only thing that we got to see. So if there were other recommendations or requests, we don't have any idea, because this is the only thing that was brought forward.
Go ahead, please.
I guess, so my question would be, because I can see how, like, you know, definitely that can be a tough situation to kind of navigate, in somewhat from our vantage point. I guess my question is, like, are you suggesting that you'd be comfortable with 3% raises across the board for all department heads? Or like, because I know you said there's some special considerations, some cases, and like
That were brought forward, yes.
and what were the cases that you're okay with? Well, not,
We didn't go with the deputy commissioner of finance. We didn't go with the complete ask. We brought that down. That I'm comfortable with. And that would be at the resident with the 3% unless there was the rationale brought forward to us to consider.
Go ahead, please.
But I would say the manner in which this request has been submitted mimics that same request, with it requiring a market evaluation based on the needs of this position. So would you not agree that these would be presented with the same?
Well, what I'm saying is we're gonna open the door for, unless we have our department, HR department, do a market research on every department head and every assistant. I mean, the market determines the need, obviously. I don't know if planning is the same as finance in that regard. I take her word for it, that what she put here, but I don't know what market research was done, if it was done, or how well she did that. And so if we're gonna do something like that, should we look at every administrator and do a market analysis and maybe some salaries should come down? I don't know, you know, we haven't done that, and we're doing it kind of, to me, seems arbitrary. And so every department head and their assistant administrator can come in here and do that. I think we should have a better way of negotiating, a better process than having the individual come up and do that. But it is what it is, and we can entertain it or we cannot.
I guess what I'm thinking is, and because there's a lot of merit in what you're saying, I guess where I'm having trouble kind of looking at the consistencies is because it's like, so there's an ask and we brought it down, but that ask, the original ask was a part of the proposed budget, and then we made a determination to, or it was suggested, or it seems like at least some council members were saying, okay, let's, we're not the thought, go with the full ask that was presented. So once we make that determination or that distinction based on merit and judgment, then I think we are compelled to look at other cases. Because if not, what we're doing is saying that whether it's an increase or a decrease, if we as a council are weighing in on that, then that door is open to weigh in on other situations, and then it can look, and not even just look, I'm more concerned about what it is, then it can be a very inconsistent practice, because now we're saying, well, for this department head, we're not gonna go with the full ask, but we're gonna even reduce what the full ask was for this. And then, but everyone else, we're just gonna say 3%, even though we've already deliberated and had conversations around that one position. So I just get concerned about the inconsistencies, but your point's well taken around market research
And I'm addressing the potential tax increase that 3% raises is minimal, but looking at, from what I see, that they're good salaries. But I think we should do a better look at it and a deeper dive into doing it across the board if we're gonna do it. Or if we can't find someone during the ask can always be made at any point in the year, if that position were to become vacant or the person was gonna leave, we've done that as well. But us doing it just is concerning for me.
I understand what your concerns are, and I would just say if we're gonna do it, then we have to do it and make it available for everyone. If we're not gonna do it, then we shouldn't be touching it at all whatsoever. And then if we're not touching it at all, at what point what happens if we see inconsistencies or unintentional inequities that was brought forth in the budget? Like, what is our responsibility to tease that out as a body? So those are just the questions that I would have.
I mean, those are valid points from both sides here. It was a compelling discussion that we had in terms of Mr. Ferrari, in terms of why he wanted to increase the Deputy Commissioner of Finance. And he gave us, many options and told us that the high end of that is, the minimum is 100,000, that's fair market for that position. And I think looking at this letter here, it's a detailed letter with a market, salary range. I am not against looking across the board for a salary range for a department head and to increase them and bring them in compatible with today's market across the board. But then how do we do that? As I always said, if we were to increase salary, we have to find money from somewhere to offset this. And how do we do that in terms of this? Yes, taxes are going up, but at the same time, we have to make sure that we increase salary to bring it up to par so that we keep these employees in their position to provide the service needed for our city. And at the same time, we don't want them to go anywhere, so we want to keep them.
And salary is only one component of the compensation package. And the city still offers lifetime health insurance for retirees after a certain level of service. That's very rare in the market anymore. Huge value to that. So it's not just salary, it's the total package is the way to evaluate it. And so just on salary is overly simplistic.
Yeah. And I think, department head they're listening to these debates, not these hearings, not debates, these hearings, sorry. And, they're gluing into it. So when we talk about, okay, we want to bring someone incompatible with today's market for their position, then the others, I would be doing the same thing. I've done that in my private sector job. I mean, I'm in that position just like everyone else. I should be compensated for that, for my time and my work here. And I can't be wrong with them. I have to support them, and I don't know if they're choosing the right path to bring it to us. I don't know. It could be. They're supposed to be, channel that to the mayor, to us. As long as I've been on this council here, we have every year deal with department head coming directly to us or send us email or phone call to ask for salary adjustment from the proposed budget. So it's nothing new. It's been happening all the years. And how do we address it? Maybe we just go back and, ask the mayor, it's a recommendation to go back and do an evaluation on all the department head. But then how do we sustain that in a budget that we're driving taxes up? Go ahead, please, sorry.
I agree with the mayor that I do not think it's the most appropriate venue for city employees to come to the city council. However, being presented with those positions, I think we are responsible and obligated to respond in a manner appropriate to the authority that was presented to us as elected officials. So in our capacity, we represent the city and we function in partnership with the mayor. So I would hope that in these capacities, to your question of favoritism, we are operating in an ethical manner and not using our positions inappropriately to benefit ourselves. So I think it's a narrative we constantly hear all the time, that we're supporting our base and supporting our friends. I can guarantee you if that was the case, I would not be living where I live. So I'm not finished. I think it is important that we fully vet these positions that we're currently standing at. So if we're going to do a market adjustment, let's do a market adjustment. However, in no way were we singling out any individual department or any individual person. In the presentation, as the committee chair has highlighted, we offered everyone the opportunity to present what you've been doing for the year, and how those department heads use that time was up to them. But if an individual brought up a topic of concern, again, it is our responsibility to respond to it, as did I with my recommendations. Any other council member in their capacity could either push back or add additional. Again, that is in your purview, but I think it is more than appropriate for us to hear out the city staff, and it is our responsibility to hear them out.
Go ahead, please.
And I think what I'm saying is maybe a little more basic than or the larger conversation here. I think it's more specific to the fact that if we're saying that one department head, based on this metric, should be getting this salary, and if that's the ruler that we're using, I think this is where we need to be consistent about it. If we're saying that that is the ruler that we're using, then if another department head comes forward and says, well, based on market value and that same ruler, then I should be here, I think that's something that we should expect that's going to happen. And if we're going to make decisions, we should just be making them using the same gauge. That's really my thing. So either if we were to do it, we do it with the same measurement for all, or don't do it at all, then okay. But I think that if we get to the place where we're bringing forth certain department heads based on a ruler, then use a different measure for somebody else, that should be concerning for me. Mr. Turner had her hand up.
Go ahead, please.
Thank you. Excuse me, thank you. So in the past, I think, other than this year, for the past 6 years, we've actually had a tax decrease or taxes, no rise in taxes at all. So things were different. The city was in a different position back then. I think with the city facing the deficit that we are raising taxes, it's just sending the wrong message. Yes, we work for the city, we work for the employees of the city, but we also work for the residents of the city, and I think it's just sending them the wrong message right now to give these raises. But I do want to commend all these department heads. I mean, we've reached out to them daily, for me for 3 years, you for a lot longer, and they go above and beyond. to help the residents of the city, we're also here to help. That's just all I wanted to say.
Can I
No,
ask a clarifying question
let
there?
me touch on that. Yes, that's true. We're lucky and fortunate to have such good department heads in the city of Schenectady here to help the city, to drive the city forward with the mayor. I mean, they do fantastic jobs in and out. Some of them 7 days a week, regardless of what. And the topic is that we have, yes, giving raises when we're raising taxes.
Your time's up.
We have to make sure that we compensate them for the time that they've been here and the years of service they've provided to the city. Some of them here are way on in the 20 years or plus, and the reason why they're staying here, because they love the city, they love what they're doing, and they're providing taxpayers with the service, and they're running the department day in and day out. And any budget, you have to raise salary, especially for inflation or for cost of living adjustment. So 3%, 4%, 2%, I've been here when we have raised them 2%. I don't know, maybe we did 1%, we did it. We always do an increment of something across. And then we do have some employees with, higher than normal, because and this is one of them, I think, what the burning topic is the proposed budget has a 51% increase for one position. And I think that's where the calls are coming in from, but we understand that position because we want to market, that position and to align that position into next year, into the finance department. Now the other department is seeing that and they're asking questions, and they have a right to ask. They have a right to ask, as Mr. Williams says, and we have to, entertain it. But how far do we go? That's the biggest question on the table.
So I don't think I said we were showing favoritism. I said it could lend perception, like if it were me and a department head or it just calls me, I think the mayor said, no, I requested this. I will appeal to the mayor. I think we're usurping the process. The mayor presented us with the budget. I'm just not comfortable with that, and I would tell the person, thank you, but there's a way for you to go about this. If I felt real strongly, because I have a friend that's a department head, hey, help me out here, right? Now, obviously, if I know the person, I'm gonna have some kind of bias. I think you're doing a great job, but I don't know the day-to-day activities of that individual. I don't know, they don't work for me. I'm not comfortable with it. As a public official, I'm not comfortable with doing that, because that's, my role is not to supervise their day-to-day activities and make those recommendations. I mean, we can, but I think we're getting into a dangerous area on doing that. We have great department heads, and certainly, but we are looking at these tax increases, and we're looking at the full time. I think just doing it this way is concerning to me, and that's all I want to put out there, because we didn't have that conversation. I'm glad we're having that. We were saying yes, and it felt good, but then I actually wanted to say something last night because it just concerned me, that process. It's the process, it's certainly not the people, and that's where I think we should be mindful of. And if that's an issue, maybe we do a market research or we do something a little bit differently. But the individual that person was old enough, which is great, but I'm following the role of what, mayor, my boss said, no, I'm not gonna go around that person. Some would, that felt that way, and they're kind of, in a way, we're saying, well, you should have ignored his request and come to us, because we'll welcome you, and we're not gonna tell you you did a bad job. And, I'm just concerned with us doing that.
Go ahead, please.
I would ask the rhetorical question, is just what do you think the role of city council is?
It's to make policy decisions, certainly to evaluate the budget. The role is we can entertain that. I'm saying as my role as a city council right in this, I'm uncomfortable with it. It's certainly within our purview, but we have a process, and we don't, of course we don't have to follow it. We can make these decisions. To me, they seem a little bit arbitrary, because I don't think we've done it with every administrator and every assistant administrator. We haven't afforded them that. They were told no, they accepted that. They didn't come to us. They didn't do what they did, so, oh, sorry, we're not gonna consider you. I think if we're gonna do it, then let's do it from all. And 3% might not get you to where you should be, if the market research, and then we're looking at maybe 5 or 10% tax increase or whatever. Where does it end? I mean, we have to have a process and respect that.
I think that the city charter outlined that we can review the salary and make adjustment, if I'm not mistaken. Mayor, has any consideration given to kind of do a comprehensive review, market analysis of all the department head? To bring
We've
them-
talked about it, but have not undertaken it.
Is that something we can ask you? We can direct you to
Well, you
make
can
a
ask,
request. Make a request that you do this, because we don't want to, revisit this next year, but we can put something in place to kind of bring them up to par if they are under or above, align them, so that we don't have to deal with this going forward. How do we,
It's, council sets the policy, so if you put forth something, I'll manage it.
so I think we should do that. I think it's a wise idea for us to, do something and kind of like request the mayor to kind of do a market analysis on all the department head and to provide that report to us. I think it would be very, very helpful. Because I hate to see department head work, 15, 10, 12, 15 years, and you have to leave for another municipality because they are offered $5,000, $10,000 more, where we can do something in-house and adjust that and keep them.
Sorry, so listen to what my fellow council members are saying here, I guess, because I think that, I know you earlier were saying that there's good points on both sides. I don't, just in my assessment, I don't think that there's necessarily two sides here. I think that everyone's kind of like working in the same direction, trying to figure out what's the best formula to do that. So that's all that's why I'm like trying to get some clarification as to like, so Mr. Turo, were you saying like suggesting that that everyone just gets a 3% raise, like all department heads just that, and then we just leave it at that? Is that your position, or is your position no department head raises, or kind of like just make it like 3% across the board? I'm trying to figure out, and then Joe, if you want to answer that too, then Mr. Williams, then we can all kind of at least know where we're at. 'Cause I think we're all saying some similar stuff here, so we'll just try to get some clarity, right? Yeah.
So, again, with the deficit we're facing in our city, the mayor's presented us with a balanced budget. It's 3%, sometimes 4%. I didn't go through each department head. That was the ask, that's what's there. I don't like to have an increase, an ask from department heads when every department head has an opportunity to come before us. And where does that leave us? Giving everyone a 10, 15, 20%, 51% increase? Where does that leave us as taxpayers, which we all are as well?
Right, and to your point, that makes a lot of sense to me, and that's what I'm saying, but I know what was presented to us wasn't 3-4% for everyone across the board. It wasn't that. It was 3-4%, and then individual was like how much. There were some positions that was upwards of, what was the percentage for the highest? You said
51%.
51. So I think
Yes.
that there's a lot of daylight
I said
between.
that 3 and 4 and then 51%. Again, we discussed that, that was going to fill a position that we needed to fill, and we had to bring it up to salary. So, again, with the position that we're in as a city and the deficit we're facing, I know somebody calling in, I think, happened once before.
Or auto warranty insurer.
they're selling insurance.
They want to donate money, so.
They're gonna settle this one. And for clarity, Mr. Terra, I wasn't.
So again,
Do you-
at the time when the ask was before, we were in a much different position. And we were facing a much different position now than we were 3, 4, 6, 5 years ago. So,
I was just trying to make sure you understood the nature of my question. Like I wasn't just right. So
So, yes, we are facing a deficit, but again, we wanna keep, as we said, we wanna keep good employees, and that just does not narrow down to one employee. So I think we should take that in consideration as well. I'm guessing that because they're still here, that the mayor feels they're valuable employees and that they're doing their job. So, when we talk about that, I know that we have tax increases, that's the nature of inflation and all the other things that are a part of it. So I don't say that we say to employees, well, because we're having this time that you can't get additional, because they're facing inflation as well. So you can't get raises based on the work that you do for the city. And if we're trying to talk about keep good employees, then I think that that needs to be a consideration. And it was stated that, we shouldn't be setting salaries when this clearly states right here that that's one of our responsibilities, to set the salaries for the staff. I don't know, I know that when it comes to the bargaining unit, that's a whole different process. And maybe there needs to be a similar process for the management, I don't know. But this is the process we have right now, and this is how we have to do it. So I also have a question. Is the recommendation that we do this whole market analysis and try to get it in time for this budget? Because I don't see that happening.
Well, that's what I was gonna ask.
That's not gonna happen.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask the question.
Because we got a deadline, we're gonna meet that
yeah.
deadline.
If, in order to do that, do we have to do a formal resolution or just a?
Yeah, that's how the council takes position.
So I think we should address that and do a formal resolution to, ask the mayor, request the mayor to look into that, and we have that ready for,
Next. So, he said it's not gonna be in time for this budget, so we have to deal with the issues at hand.
Yes, so, yes, I understand. So I think, we should put that in place, so that we don't have to be repeating this again next time that we have that study. So Sam, can you please, put that on the agenda for us to do that formal, stuff, and we get that, to the mayor so that study can be started and complete and provided to us sometime in this, next year.
Thank you. I'm sure, also sure these studies aren't free.
That's what I was like.
Okay, so here we are putting, just.
Documents, nah.
Just saying, I'm not even familiar with what it might be, but I'm sure it's in the upwards of thousands and thousands of dollars.
Well, we have an HR department, so I don't think they're gonna hire someone to do a market analysis. HR can do that, and every HR department does that. Well, yes, it's gonna cost us if we decide to implement it, to come incompatible, but then that's what we're gonna look at. And then we can say as a council and as the mayor and administration, are we ready to do this? And that will be the biggest question on the table. But I think we need to do that market analysis. Go ahead, please.
I think folks are making great points all around the table, and I do appreciate the idea of being consistent. I do think it's a good idea to do the market analysis. I absolutely do not think we're gonna be able to do it in time for this budget, but I think it's something that we should move forward with. One solution, I think, I support the 3% raise. I think that's where we should land, this evening. I think that is what has come to us via the discussions that the mayor had with department heads. I don't have a problem if there's an individual that, because there's a justification there in terms of the retirement that might be coming down the pike. But again, I think we could kind of revisit that. But I think one solution might be to move forward from this and have to come back at another time in the year and think about whether we have to make any adjustments via budget amendments, which we have done in the past as well. But so I think we should stay consistent now. I really appreciate the fact that we're raising taxes, so I think the 3% raise is fair across the board. I do appreciate the idea of having a market analysis later, and then perhaps we can revisit mid-year, at least look at what the results of the market analysis and at least start planning for what we might do in the future.
But I think that's what I'm trying to look at.
Yeah, no,
Once we you requested that formally and the study is out, and then we look at it as a council, and then we say, okay. And if we are in agreement to move forward, then we'll have to do a budget reappropriation at some point in time if there's agreement across the board to do that. And we have the funding, the most important thing,
Right.
have the funding to do it.
So, just so I'm clear, Ms. Patrick, you're saying 3% across the board with no, are you saying, but that 3% across the board with no exceptions? Is what
No,
you're
I'm saying 3% across the board. I'd be open to still considering the raise for that one individual who might be moving into a role that, sooner rather than later. But I'm open to continuing the discussion, but
All right, thanks for that.
I can be compromising those.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do as well.
Yeah.
Go ahead, please.
Mr. Mayor, I just also want to be clear, when you talk about the market study and then we'll revisit this mid-year, are you saying that at this point in time, we will not consider any other raises and then consider the mid-year?
I'm not saying that out too loud, but
We're whispering.
yeah, no, whisper that. I'm trying to sense it in the feelings that do the study. We know where we're landing. We're not guessing a number. This is coming from a professional. We're here. We're going to have a realistic number in terms of position, and we revisit it at that point in time. I am not against it. The majority of the council would like to move forward on one or two, and the exception of one or two, I'm fine with that. But I will overall revisit it next year, each and every single department head. But again, I'm willing, I'm at this table here, and I'm willing to make compromise, as I've said it from the beginning, and to move forward.
Yeah.
I am not going to dig my heel in the sand.
Yeah.
I made it very clear, and I encourage every one of us to do that. Let's compromise, let's move forward, and let's do what we have to do.
Yeah.
I don't think, we're sending a message to every one of them, we appreciate everything that they're doing. We're in crunch time. We're raising taxes to maintain the service that we're providing to our taxpayers. And we have to make sure that we have their backs at all times too.
So I just want to echo some of that and say that I don't think, I agree, and I think that this is could be a potentially very contentious conversation, but I do appreciate the way that it's happening at the table. I think everyone at the table is acting in good faith, and and I was asking council members what their position were. I think that it's appropriate that I would say my position would be, I wouldn't be comfortable with 3% across the board, and then one or two positions at 50%. I think that is a drastic comparison and distinction that even with the variables that were presented. So I think, again, we have, to your point, maybe we just have to take a step back, and I think that maybe this is something that we move for efficiency's sake, move further down the agenda in this process. That would be completely up to you, Chair, but
Yeah.
maybe that's something.
Well, I just want to echo one thing. I mean, if there's any retirement, it's made right to elevate someone or hire someone new, that person will go into that position, and that line is funded already. So we do have funding on that line, and whoever the mayor chooses to hire will go into that line. So if there's funding on the deputy line, it will not affect that line. The promotion or the hire will take that funding from that line at any given time.
Could you explain that again? I just want to understand.
So right now we have funding for the commissioner at 100 and proposed 133,000. And the proposal for the deputy is 120. I'm gonna be off a little.
Sure, no.
So if there's a retirement, that line becomes available. So if the mayor hires someone and put that person in the line there, the salary continues. That funding is there to continue that hire. So if there's a promotion within, you just move upward, and then that position become vacant until there is a promotion or hire to fill that other line. So we should consider that too. Go ahead.
I think back to the rhetorical question that Mr. Williams asked, I do think that our primary, we're here for the residents. And I think that one point of we're raising the taxes, I think we have to be very mindful of that in terms of this discussion about raises, so.
And I would say in response to that, that is why I'm responding to the proposed budget with that same understanding in mind. I would say, hearing everyone around the table, following the invitation for the number of individuals in the email to respond. Don't think we've gotten any further responses, am I not correct?
I'm not here.
I'm so sorry.
In the email that was sent out later today, were there any additional responses from city staff?
I didn't check my email in the last hour.
So I would say I haven't received any, so this would be the final one. I would say in the manner in which I've been a member of this council, we've entertained these such conversations, so I would not be opposed to taking this into consideration as well. As we anticipate how we continue addressing this issue next year, I think it is important to make sure we capture this appropriately. If we are doing a market adjustment, you're not giving the city staff anything short of what they deserve and what they've earned with their knowledge, skills, and abilities over the years. Market evaluations are continuing in any industry, and oftentimes are evaluated annually. I'm not promoting that, but I'm saying the cost of running the city is the cost of running the city. So I think if we start this, we see it through to completion. However, after making this a formal opportunity for everyone to respond, we have only heard from this individual. So to your point, everyone has been presented with the same fair opportunity. So I think in hearing that, I am comfortable responding to this email as the last, as we currently have no other scheduled budget meetings past this.
And to add to that, I think the mayor was very directive in his email to his department heads to reach out to the council or to be here at the meeting at 5:30 to kind of, if they feel that they need to discuss with us any salary increase. Chief Marino is here.
Forget about it, chief.
He also wants a big raise.
I'm gonna call on you.
Ms. Patrick, I think.
Yeah, I think, I just want to have a point of clarification. We haven't decided on any of the, we haven't decided on these salary increases.
That is correct,
right?
yes.
Okay, I
It's
just
a
wanted,
it's a recommendation.
and this actually, came looks like it went last night, so it was before.
meeting,
I'm sorry?
like right after our meeting.
Yeah, she's, the person is indicating that she was watching our meeting and that was why, so it wasn't that, that other email went out this afternoon asking people to send in requests, if they were interested. This was before that,
Actually,
just,
It said to show up, will we be here?
right?
All right, I think
Just to clarify that.
we're discussing at length. I will ask we just move on and we'll revisit this before we close and move to other points. If you don't mind, we can, Mr. Farley, take that, just move to another discussion and then we'll revisit this. It's a hot discussion. Do we wanna, Carl, let's go through this list from the top down,
What list are you talking about?
this list here.
Oh, okay, that,
Damani, you sent us an email this afternoon, sure?
Yes, I did, late this afternoon. I've been meetings all day.
You wanna touch on that, Damani? And then
Certainly.
we'll go back to Carl.
Certainly.
Yesterday, the discussion around the table was the youth program. And currently in the budget is $150,000. Mr. Farley had recommended that we consider increasing that by $100,000 to $250,000. And then there's an email this afternoon from Mr. Farley that to bring that to $300,000 and to rename that line to youth services. Mr. Farley.
Sure, so I just think, this is a unique line. I do have to say that I'm somewhat biased in this because, being the, one of the things that, myself and the mayor and the council president was really, spearheading was trying to make sure that the city for the first time ever had a youth employment program. Is a very, very needed thing. So I guess I think there was some confusion yesterday because I know that the lines we spent 90-something% of the money the first year, and then the second year we didn't spend anywhere near as much as that. And I think that was more of a programmatic shift than it was a shift in need. So it was, I think, on the city only has so much capacity, but the need is still great. And I think for the youth line, I think that we definitely, I was really trying to, and I hope you guys received this in the right spirit. I was really trying to be as conservative as I could with that line, because I think that line is unique in the way that it's not just about the larger picture. Big picture is, keeping our youth engaged in pro-social activities. I think that we all see what's good about that. But I think the other piece about that is that, there's money that's going to go into our local economy and much likely to be, spent inside of our local economy. Unlike some of the other things that we are funding for, even some of our nonprofits, things that this is something that goes directly to youth and can change the material conditions of the people themselves, as to what some of our larger things that we are funding are going to nonprofits. And some of that money is people who don't live in our city and actually support other tax bases with that. So I think if we consider the fact that the very clear need for our youth to be engaged in pro-social activities, you accompany that with the fact that this is really an investment because that money will circulate through our local economy. And then you think about accompany that with the fact that we know that idle times for youth will definitely increase our public safety costs and with our police budget especially. I think that there's some compounding factors there where we should really be taking a look at that line. 300 was, doubling that line was really the best I could do without, I still feel like that's very modest is what I'm saying, based on all those things.
Go ahead, please.
So my position on this is that the first year we put 150,000 to it. We didn't quite reach it, even with all the partners at the table. So I understand the request, and I certainly respect the request for additional. I don't necessarily think that doubling it at this time does that. I, in my opinion, need to increase it and spend, and see how we do with not just the city doing the program, but others as well. And if there's a need, just like with anything else, then we just increase it. We go back and make an adjustment because there's more of a need. The other thing we also discussed last night in terms of increasing is that when a person gets someone to work for them, that maybe they can also either donate or pay some part of the compensation as opposed to it being entirely the city, because we said that they were getting free labor, which, sometimes free is good, but that they would also invest in that, in the program themselves through partially paying for that. So for me, I don't see raising it up to the $300,000 level. And last night, I have to say, I walked away with the thought that it was 250.
Sure.
So today, so that's my position on that. We have to, like, as everything based on prior history, and in 22, we didn't quite make it to the 150, so increasing it and then increasing our outreach and all that, I say yes, we do that. And also ask the people who are getting people to work for them to also partially invest in the program as well. And that, so therefore the city is not spending as much.
So I would say, so I think the first year we spent upwards of 140 something thousand. The entire budget was only 150.
Right.
So if the agency that's managing that, once they get close to that 150, you have to stop, because if you don't stop, then you're gonna be responsible for paying youth wherever they're at. So I think that like that first year, that spending 100 and, I could look.
140, just say 140.
But it was more than that though.
No, it's
It was
140 plus
a
something.
little bit over 100.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah, so I would say like $140,000 for the first year of that program. I think I consider that a pretty strong, compelling reason to say like that the need is there. And then the second year, I really you can't really calculate that because the model shifted so much. So you spent a third of what was done the first year, and I think that was just based on programmatic shift. And I think to your point around like other people contributing and employers contributing, I think that's a great idea. And I think if that's the case, then we'll just have a larger capacity to reach more youth in that way. So that's the way I would look at that. But your point is well taken. And yesterday when I did say I'd like to increase it by 100,000. That was something that I did say at this table. And then once I looked at the numbers in the county around the amount of youth that they serve, and I started to really make the consideration of like, that's money that's still going to live in our city versus, so we might get to leverage that $300,000. And I think, I'm not sure on the research, but I think that the money, the researchers show that the money will circulate in our community for almost 6 times before it leaves, based on, where we're funding some of these nonprofits with largely a lot of their administrative staff not living in the city. That's a drop in the bucket compared to what we give to them. And then a lot of times those dollars go to support other tax bases, and you don't get the value you get from money, economics staying in the city, increasing public safety and enriching youth. So those would be my points on that. But your point, I understand as far as the form of looking at past years. That would be my response to that.
Go ahead, please.
I would support increasing the youth employment line. I think we've been talking last week, several of us talked about, the things that had happened in the city school district the week before. I think it's really valid to think about how are we fostering youth leadership? How are we supporting them? I think it's income that is needed, but I also think it's job skills and job skills training that I think all of us would also support. So not sure about the number, but I also, I think this is a place where using ARPA funds, taking ARPA funds away from an additional, besides the ones that are already in our operating budget based on the 4, I think it was, that finance, that's in the budget. I think there's still an opportunity to look at that ARPA money and take this out of that. And we would have to take it away from someone. I get that, but
It will be a budgeted line, and eventually it will be funded. Once we start to-
right. I'm just saying, I don't know where we get, I guess what I'm saying is we have to figure out where we're gonna get the money from.
Unless
Usually
we,
increase
that's
the
the
line.
issue, there is an in and out, so we have.
That's right, so,
We're saying
but
that
I
we
think
would like to
when we
see,
get to the ARPA discussion, there might be additional
Yes.
ways that we could get it there. I'm just saying, I don't know where we get it from, but I definitely would support increasing this.
So just to be clear, I have no objection to supporting its level at which.
Oh, no.
So when we walked away last night, 250 was the number, and I was like, okay, I'm good with that, and I'm still good with that.
go ahead, please.
I'm wondering, like, if we put on the line on the youth services, that we're gonna commit to, hoping it goes toward employment, maybe it's open where we have also the option, if, say, there's certain community, there's schools in every community, and we have complaints from neighborhood residents that we have youth just with no activities, nothing. And I worked in a rock program that had a budget of $45,000 a year, and it was highly effective. We get 80 kids there a night. Is that we have that flexibility, say, hey, here's a spot, there's a lot of unstructured free time, which is, you know, one of those risk factors for juvenile delinquency. Let's create a program in that community. And let's start it off, we have the budget here, we're not using unemployment, we could do something like that. And if that's is effective, we can look to continue funding it.
If you look at my email, I do say, to change it from youth employment to youth services for that very point, to have a program.
I do think, I mean, just to go back a step, what we did, I think, in the past was give it to the county for their youth, you know, through that youth employment that the county runs, right?
Yeah, for many
So I
years,
think
yes.
we, you know, that's another that's the consideration too, because, you know, that's program management. I mean, I guess I'm saying that, I mean, I'm not sure that we should take it back into the city, because then we'd have to have a staff person that was, you know, coordinating it. So I think with some of the flexibility, really, it's going to be, if we do this, it still would be with the county's youth employment, I think.
Well, it was
And
a
so-
partnership between the county
Yeah,
and
yeah,
the school, in the school district.
And the school district, I
Yeah.
actually wrote that down too,
Mayor,
so.
were you able to share with us how were you able to manage it last year with the staffing?
Well, we put people in departments, so there was this supervisory structure there in place. The year before, it was more broad-based, and some of those expenditures out of that line I would classify as being interesting.
Could you expand on interesting?
Just say they're interesting.
Okay.
And they wouldn't have happened had I reviewed the individual expenditure.
Well, in terms of the county, what I can say, they've run their program for a long time, and I know part of it they paid staff, but what I understand we're talking about is, this money would only be to pay the youth, or are you talking about the people who would also supervise?
So my,
Hold on.
okay.
Well, we've consistently made investments in the parks. And when I look at this money is, how do we go back to some of those old days when there were recreation specialists in the parks? There's more activities there. It's not precluding any of the discussion, whether it's at night or in facilities that might not solely be the parks, or bringing in other partners. But it's to take that 8-10 weeks during the summer, and how do we spend the money? The simple thing is, in the city, hiring people working in the parks, doing activities there. But more than open to, if there are other partners, to whether private businesses or other entities. This summer I had a discussion with the superintendent of schools. He had just come into that role. We're looking to do more recruitment for kids within the schools, and also trying to match them up to possible career paths in the city. You know, we spent a lot of time focusing on public safety, police and fire. It's hard right now to find people for water and wastewater.
Yeah.
And those are ones where you have to have some math skills. And if it's environmental, it's very timely. How do we get kids to come in and be exposed to that? Because most people don't even know those jobs exist out there.
Right.
But they're good career paths where you go in, you get higher levels of certification, and the reality is they're more important than a lot of the other positions we have, because if water and sewer doesn't work, we're in trouble.
Absolutely.
So this past year, when we had people at the, for the city, did anybody work in the wastewater treatment plant? Were we able to put anybody there?
No, we had some the year before, but did not get any this year.
And in terms of that, there's that program Ecos, where they do a whole lot of that, you know, environmental stuff. So when we talk about partners, that might be a place, because my understanding of their program, they have gotten, I've watched some of the videos, they've really gotten kids very, very interested in doing those kind of things. So then identifying those kind of partners where we're broadening the scope of what we're offering to youth, as opposed to,
Absolutely.
you know, working in the park. Nothing wrong with City Hall, working in City Hall. But just broaden the scope, because kids have other interests, they have a variety of interests.
Yeah,
The way some of our department heads are feeling, we might need them kids to come here and work, because, we don't get them raises up. But now I think that the mayor, the mayor, was saying, if we look at, those strategic partnerships, and I think we get the most value out of our dollar. I just kind of want to keep that in front of our mind, that it looks like, well, and it is, we classify it as, this is expenditure on the city's behalf, but again, that's money that's gonna be in our local economy. That's money that is going to help, curb some of that idle time that results in public safety calls. So
But you're absolutely correct, in terms of economic analysis, that type of expenditure has one of the highest multipliers of any dollars you spend.
So if you wanna go
Any money we
500,000, I'm okay with
Any
it.
money we put towards this line here, it's an investment toward youth. It's an investment. We have listened in 2023, I think, the success story, or 2022, when they did the first program through the school with the city partnership with the school. The success story is kind of, it drives you to do more, because once we invest in our youth, it's a long-term effect. Putting money into the local economy, into the local houses, so that they have money at their disposal to spend and to take them back into school and to buy supplies for them. New clothing, new bag, new, footwear and things like that. I am not opposed to any increase against that, but we have to find a way to fund it. I have been, from day one, I have been an advocate for this. We can talk about that. We sit in a room and every year, how we continue to fund the county. We use $40,000 a year. There were many discussions here, how do we bring this back in-house year after year? But then, do we have the capacity? Do we have the resource to do it? And I have to agree with the mayor, we need to expand, bring in more agency. Because if we can leverage whatever we put here into the 2025 budget, we need to leverage with other agency to expand it.
Sure.
And I think that's what I said yesterday, we all need to get on board. We all need to bring players to the table and expand the service. Any other take on this item?
Unfortunately, I have another commitment.
Also, you can pass the budget.
There we go.
Chief, will you take over? Sure. I'm just kidding. Oh, this is a past, this, as long as, I always use this, as long as I've been on the council, this has been a passionate line. And I don't think any one of us here is against it.
Yeah.
I said out
No,
loud.
no, not at
We
all.
are
No, I
in
think we
total
should.
support.
I think everybody.
We are seeing what's happening in our society, and we need to step up as a council to provide whatever we have available to them.
Right.
Yeah, we gotta fund it like it's
We just gotta
passion.
get the money.
We gotta
So
fund it like that.
we all agree, so we just need to identify a number, and then where do we find the gap? So
Yeah.
what is a number?
Right, so that's the first question, go ahead.
Just need a number.
So let me just go back. So yesterday, there was a recommendation to bring that up to 250,000, and then there's an email this afternoon to kind of up that up 50,000 more to bring that to 300,000. What are your position with that in terms of the numbers?
Mine's 300,000.
250.
I'm happy to go 250.
So I would say if you do 250 and you talk about some sort of split, it does still reach your desire of increasing capacity. And it allows us more time to gauge how to appropriately fund it. So I feel like that could be a compromise, Mr. Farley.
I would have to get clarity on like what kind of split, I don't understand. What do you mean by that?
250 versus 300?
No, the split between the employer and what this line would potentially fund. If you did 50-50, you're essentially doubling it, plus adding money to the line also.
I think it go directly for employment.
What?
He means asking, we talked about, it's been mentioned that we asked the employers to contribute.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I misunderstood.
I don't think we can count on that, so I think moving
No.
forward, at least until we get the program up and running, and maybe next year we'd be able to ask employers, but I think I'm comfortable with 250 and finding the additional 100,000. I do want to point out that we do need to continue, paying for the lifeguards.
Oh, yeah, that's not-
Is that in a different?
That's not
line?
affected.
It's separate and
That's a
apart.
separate line, okay, yeah, okay.
Control.
Yes, okay, no, just wanted to make sure,
That's
but,
another part.
okay.
Not touching that.
So 250.
Go ahead, please.
The Boys and Girls Club, like at Steinman's, you know, that ran the summer programs, did that come out of this?
Yes, it's in here, it's in our budget here.
Oh,
And
it
on the
didn't come out of
parts-
the one that, it's
No,
in.
no.
Oh, that's what
Service
comes
is
out
a
of pool.
separate,
I was looking for it in pool, is it in pool parks or pools?
Yes, on the parts, the
That's what I was
separate
looking
line
for.
that we fund every year to pay
It
for
just that the mayor had
the
voted
lifeguards
for Earlier.
and the,
Good, so that's good, so
The
really,
programs,
in
right.
essence, we're giving, if we went with whatever number we come up with here,
Right. If
you
that
can
would-
all, in your heads, realize it's an additional 150 also to still be hiring youth.
yes.
Yes, an additional 150.
That's,
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm, I know what you mean.
she's not about the same
Oh,
thing.
sure.
Okay.
Lifeguards, everything.
In other words, if we did 250, it's really, in the end, it would be $400,000 that we're putting into
Right.
youth employment.
Cause she's saying there's 150
See
in
what
the
I'm
budget
saying?
already, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
It's
but
not the
it's
same thing.
not
I didn't think you
necessarily,
understood.
that's not necessarily the thing though, because that money is part of a larger contract that's with the Boys and Girls Club. That's, you know, so I know that some of the implications and the outcome is there. However, to mind Joe's earlier point around like changing that from just youth employment to youth services, so.
Yeah.
I think that-
Oh, yeah, no, I get that, yeah.
All right,
I'd just like to ask Derek, do you have any idea where you might, listening to the conversation, where we might be able to fund this from?
that's a tough question to have.
I mean, currently you're looking at the 250,000.
No, it was 300 was my thing. Let's start there.
300.
About 150,000 the council have to look for that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Whether reduce expenditure in the general fund or you're looking at something increasing the revenue.
Mhm.
Or I stated 100 times, I said.
Sure, yeah.
So that's something the council will have to consider.
It will be a discussion that you will have to have with, Anthony, or it's,
It's something that I think the council decide what.
Whether
the
reduce
council will
expenditure
have to-
somewhere or increase the revenue. I mean, I could make a decision, but I mean, you can increase taxes.
More?
Yeah,
I think it's enough.
yeah.
are we gonna have you pay it?
Most likely, if you increase the revenue, it'd be coming from appropriate fund balance. Expenditure, I don't know where you take it from, because it's a really tight budget.
So let's mark it down as a, but most of these, if we're not increasing the revenue, will potentially have to come out of the general reserve.
Sure.
So let's put that there as tentative, if we have an agreement to move forward with that increase, so 250,000.
Actually, 300.
I'm comfortable with 250.
Um,
I mean, I think
Mr.
we got
Williams,
to hear
what are
from
you
around
with
the
that?
table.
I would like to hear where the other council members stand.
280.
280?
I know nobody wants to hear it, but 200.
Oh,
200.
then no one wants to hear.
Yeah,
50,000 more?
50,000 is
Okay.
compared to what we had in there, and it's not that it's not important, but again, we're tightening our belts. If we leverage it with the county, the city, the this, you're looking at $600,000 in there, I don't know, just saying. I'm very
If
tight.
let me just address that with the county. If we were to, what we had had in the past, and this is what the mayor was trying to bring it in-house many years, and we had an agreement with the county. Once we fund the county, it's an employment, we're funding an employment for the entire county,
That's true. It's not just the city.
not the city, and this is a problem, and mayor was pointing us to that many years. And that was an agreement we had, and then, I have to give the mayor credit on that, he tried hard to bring it in-house, and which we did. And we are able to fund this program for city resident only rather than county resident that we've been funding for many years.
So we can't just ask the county, we can't
If
stipulate
we
that the
partner
money
with the
would
county,
be.
we have to fund the entire county.
I think what you're talking about, is something that happened that we were giving money, we were taking money and giving it to the county.
Yes.
And then the county was doing what the county did, it was youth employment, but to your point, it was one thing. The program that we, launched, what was it, 2 years ago?
22.
Yeah, 2 years ago, the program design, it was only, that's why it was a partnership with the city school district.
Yes.
And the county was helping with the administrative piece, but these were all city residents, not $1 left the city.
Right.
So that would be what I.
Yeah, it's a change in dynamics, yes,
Yes.
that's what brought it in-house here,
I would-
funding.
I prefer that.
Yeah,
So
that's
not
what-
in-house, because we're training, it's gonna be in addition to city staff, that we would still want other employers involved in this? As opposed to just.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I mean,
I think that, so why partner with the county, the logic behind partnering with the county is because they have the infrastructure there. But when we were designing the program, the conversation was that it has to be city residents. And the school district, being a city school district, was able to, that's why those partners made sense. However, what the school district was doing was also partnering with some small businesses. So they were, so to not get into the weeds of the programmatic stuff, the things that are important to us is that we increased partnership, which we did, and it stays in the city, which it did. So that's a fact. And John says you got it at the table, it's back to $350 now.
Back to 350, it never was at 350.
Every time John gets up on the table when I'm talking, that's what
So
happens.
to make it an inline, right? And, we might not be able to, it's an ARPA funding now,
It is.
Yes.
right? So then the year after, 2026, it becomes inline, it becomes all ours. And looking at our future, I don't wanna put 300,000 on there and not being able to fund it 2 years from now.
But that, so why
It's
that's.
a difficult.
No, why that position makes sense for most other things is different than this. Why this is unique is because this is something that if we have the money to help the youth, then we use the money to help the youth, and then when we don't have the money to help the youth, then it's not really a decision because we just don't have it. But why this is a little different than some of the other considerations we make, again, is because this will, to the mayor's point, which I was stressing earlier, is that it's not just an expenditure. The research shows that this is the highest leverage point of investment that you can make as a city. So it's not just the money that's going out, it's the money that's saving. And hopefully the money that we're saving, bringing back in, and the money circulating in our economy would help with that looking down the line. So,
I just wanna make sure it stays there.
good point, yeah.
Yeah, I think the mayor was very direct about that, and he was leading towards that in terms of his comments towards this line. I mean, I'm not against funding this line to 250, yesterday, and then we revisit it, next year, because this is our future, and it's a future that we're gonna permanently add into the budget, way beyond my time. I would like to see it there. I don't have a problem doing 250 now, and at the same time expand this for other players to get involved and to help us support this program.
School district only.
I like that,
I think that's what they did in 2022.
Oh, you mean for students,
Yes.
for kids? Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, that's what we did.
So Joe, you at 280?
Joe's at 3.
I'll go 3.
3?
Thank you.
Yeah, I think I'd love to see how, the outcomes as we move forward and are facing, and then do we have to try to, if it's working, I think it'll be pretty evident. And I think that would be something that we'll continue to fund at that level.
Okay.
I'm not seeing it in the ARPA, so I don't know what I'm missing.
No, it's
Somebody just said that
it's
it was.
150,000 funded through ARPA
In the budget.
into 2025.
Oh,
in the
funded,
budget.
I see, okay, sorry.
If we were to
Gotcha.
up it, so whatever
I'm sorry.
number we agreed on tonight,
No, I get you.
it will be in the budget for 2025, but when we do our rollback on the ARPA allocation, we will have to
Gotcha.
put money into that line, to reappropriate money into the youth service line.
Just one youth in an institution,
Oh, yeah.
400,000.
Yep,
What? I'm sorry, oh, yeah,
Oh, yeah.
no. It's a
And that's
valuable
what, and
use.
that's what
it's a
we're saying,
valuable
it's an investment in our city that we are gonna be proud of.
We just have to find the money.
I mean, if we're split and we have 300, I don't mind about 300, look, we gotta move forward on this. $50,000 or $20,000 is nothing in $160 million budget.
We just have to find the extra 150.
Be my point.
Mr. Williams?
Where's your recommendation outside ARPA? Do you have an additional one?
Well, we were told by Ms. Carla last evening that there are potential,
Yeah.
there's some agency that might not fulfill their requirement, and we might have to make amendments to bring that money back into the city. When that money is back into the city, I was very loud on that to make sure we keep that money in-house and to reallocate those money to city programs. And this is one of the city programs that we need to fund.
How do we anticipate that money, which we can't at this present point? 'Cause I'm in agreement with that. Was the discussion yesterday, we're only evaluating those 4 projects
Yes,
because of the time frame.
yes.
So it's how do we write that into our working understanding of future money lines this line, which I am all in favor of.
It's similar to fees, that we're projecting that we're gonna make X amount next year on fees. That's projection, and this is just similar to a projection. We're saying that we're gonna spend $300,000 on youth service, and where we're getting it from. We're anticipating that the ARPA, there will be money that will be free up, and we can reallocate money.
But not for this budget though. We have to, because that money was, we said yesterday, we're not doing that for this budget, so if we get additional 50,000, well, it's gonna be more than 50. The additional, whatever additional money we need, we have to take from the fund balance. Because we talked
Yes.
about that money being over there and not here.
That's what I'm saying, reappropriation, so we'll have to take it out there, and when we bring back the ARPA, we will have to replenish the general fund via that ARPA money in and out. Derek, is that, am I saying it
I mean, I guess you could do it that way,
It's a
I
blending,
guess
right?
you could consider not increasing this line, and then when council recaptures the ARPA money,
That's a blending.
we do have ARPA project codes, which are not in the general fund budget. So we could possibly leave this line to 150,000, and then when we do recapture, we do.
That's
Well,
Um,
I like that.
Then the council can decide how much, and, because we do have, codes that you don't see here, that for city projects,
For ARPA?
for, yes, for non-digital fund.
Go ahead, please.
I just want to clarify, but it would be above and beyond the four projects are
Yes.
already in the budget.
Yes,
So it would
correct.
have to be an additional, it'd have to be some other project.
Yes.
Right, yeah, okay, just want to
Wouldn't it
make sure
sound-
everybody's clear
Yeah, there are
about
3
that.
projects that steering us down that we need to address the next week.
The ones that
And I think
Ms.
Ms.
Carver,
Carver was clear, October 23rd.
yeah,
Those are the deadline that was provided to some of the agency to get back.
okay.
to
I'm
work with
I'm
the
confident we would find the money
I
through
understand.
those
So,
projects.
what she talked about last night was BCNI had like $1 million that they had not, I guess I could say the name here now, that they had not used, and she was concerned that they weren't going to be able to, and that money would have to come back in-house. The others, not so sure what that's gonna happen, but $1 million is enough to talk about.
Yeah.
It is.
So shall we move on, or?
So could we do a resolution stating our intent? So in absence of adjusting this budget line with monies that we haven't recuperated yet, could we do a resolution speaking to our intent as a council? That way when it does come, it also provides some reassurances to everyone at the council table.
The process, I don't know what the,
Yeah,
that's what I
I
think
don't
Mr.
think we
Williams
can
is.
do that. It might be, I don't think we can do that. Because where we're funding it from, then we have to direct it. We have to be direct.
So it's like outside of a verbal commitment that any additional monies we get back, but I don't know if that's an appropriate compromise for Mr. Farley.
Well, I mean, my only thing is that, obviously I know it has to come, it would have to come from somewhere, but and I think that if we're looking to, the ARPA money that has not been,
You,
well, the ARPA money that has not been
Reallocate.
reallocated yet, then I guess we should, I'd be looking for us to do better than where we're at now. But what I'll do right now is I'll put a pin in that for now, and then send what my recommendations as to where that money could come from in the existing budget, and then I'll make some more considerations around that so we can move on.
Well, before we move on, I mean,
Sure.
are you saying that you might look at our expenses in the existing budget as opposed to ARPA to try to fund the rest of the program?
I guess.
Because I think we're really bare bones right now, and I think the ARPA money, first of all, Mrs. Carver actually mentioned as Council President Porterfield, there's definitely going to be enough for an additional 150, whatever coming out of this. I would not be in favor of taking it out of our, out of expenses, the operating budget.
No, we're not taking, I don't think.
No, I think he was just saying that he was gonna take a look and see where it could come from. But that's what I'm asking, if I'm hearing you correctly.
Absolutely, yeah, no,
I don't think it's not coming out of expenses, coming out of the general reserve. If we are to make a recommendation to fund any additional costs, we have to find a bucket that to pull it from. And if we don't have a bucket, it has to come out from the general reserve. So it's not an expense, we're not reducing any expense, we're increasing the expense and reducing the revenue. Is that correct? Reducing the general reserve.
Reducing our
The general
appropriate fund balance.
Right.
Yes.
And that's gonna be a big hit this year.
Yeah, we already are doing that, so, I think my first choice would be ARPA, before anything.
So the conversation earlier was that the ARPA money, once we do reclaim it, could go back to replenish that. That's what was said. That's what I'm in favor of.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
I hear
what
what you're
I-
saying,
in
take
and
the
out.
ARPA money back and put it into the general
And
fund.
reappropriate the money back.
When
So
We can do that?
Can we do that?
I don't know if we can use ARPA
I'm
money.
listening to Derek.
Well,
All right, well, let's ask.
If you're gonna make it a project on its own,
mhm.
it would be out of the general fund. I don't know if the council wants to do that, but there are projects, city projects, projects that the council have funded, nonprofits that are not in the general fund budget. I don't know if that's something that the council is looking at doing, so it wouldn't show in the general fund.
Could we ask that you, in finance, you've heard the conversation, you see what we want to spend, can you come back to us with what your best recommendation would be for the best way to do that?
To increase this line of general fund?
And what will be your recommendation in terms of the in and out?
Yeah, where we get the money from.
That's the problem.
What?
You have to take it from the appropriate fund balance.
Yes.
There's no other way around
Or
it.
you're decreasing an expense somewhere else within the general fund.
So we have to take from another expense from another line, but I'm not even gonna say a name, because then I'm like, yeah, she said that. But so we have to take an expense from another line in order to fund this
Or
line,
increase another revenue somewhere.
Right, increase
Trash
revenue.
charges or some other fee.
increase revenue, or, take it from the fund
And we
balance,
can't,
those
then
are
I don't think
options.
that we can, because we're already taking money from the fund balance, that's at a very large amount,
Right.
so I would not be comfortable with that.
And so, I like the idea of us, and I'm certainly committed to it, and I wouldn't go back on that we use the ARPA money that we're gonna bring back, because Ms. Carver says we're going to bring some back, and as the mayor stated,
That's
even
what
if
I
we
wanna
don't take it all back, we're taking some back, there would be enough to fund this. I just wanna caution though, because we did talk about this whole supplanting thing, and it was definitely about federal funds, and it speaks specifically to something you've already budgeted, and then you have other money, put it back, so I think we would have to take a look at that.
Yeah, yeah.
That's something that police department have to come and discuss.
What?
That has to
I'm
do,
not asking
that
about, I'm
has to
talking
do
about
with
this project, this particular one, I'm talking about these funds and supplanting, not police department.
go ahead, please.
But I would also say the number we put in this line is arbitrary, because if, as you're implementing it, you recognize the tangibles that you and Mr. Mancini are highlighting, we can just make a budget amendment. But I think if we use this year as a case study, I think everyone has made it abundantly clear we're in favor of making this a permanent line, we're just trying to identify to what extent. But But I think if this meets all the objectives that you highlighted, and I do not doubt in any manner that it won't, I think we can then look at how do we leverage some of our other public safety investments to support this effort as a way to restructure how do we respond to these types of ongoing incidents throughout the community. So I think if we can just get a number here, getting into the year, we'll be able to adjust it as fit.
We're all in support of this, just so you know, Mr. Farley.
Oh, yeah, no, I know, I just,
My face
but-
is saying-
well, cause I think,
All right, let
we
me,
can,
let me,
how
suggest-
much
let
we
me,
support is, I think that that is demonstrated by our level of investment. And I think that so let me be clear, because I don't want anyone to misinterpret what I'm saying. I don't think that anyone is against investing in our youth. I think everyone here is saying that. And I think that there's a justification for, I guess the way I would frame it is, I think that there's a justification for a larger investment than what other council members are comfortable with. And that's okay, because that's part of our job. But I strongly feel that
what I would like to
it is
recommend
reasonable.
is that, we're gonna hear something next week about those other agency that is not up to par in terms of, documentation, in terms of their additional funding. So why don't we hold tight on the 150 with an understanding from the 7 of us that once the ARPA is back with the city, the ARPA funding, we will do the first reappropriation for $100,000 from the ARPA to fund this and to increase it to $250,000 then.
Well, I think
And free up the kind of like the stress right now on the general reserve.
We can say that and all agree to it, but we don't know ARPA money coming back to us. We don't know that for a fact, how much is coming back, who could get their ducks in a row before whatever. I mean, I don't think we should depend on something that we don't, so us as a council, holding strict on 150, okay, I'm okay with that, but what if all of a sudden, next week, who's stepping up everything and the ARPA money's, I don't wanna say gone by any means, but people have other plans for it, I don't know. It's just something I'm really not comfortable saying right now. If we're gonna put $100,000 into the line, it has to go into the line.
Yeah, I think the mayor also made mention that their project that will come in with some savings, that will also come back into the
Right.
city, for, to use in other, projects or programs. So we have to move forward at some point in time here, we can't stuck on this, so we find where we fund this and move forward, or we put it on hold until next week, when we get another update from Ms. Carver of the other agencies, and then we, as a council, will have to meet, a special meeting, make amendments and reappropriate these monies then.
I just need some clarity. So first of all, in terms of what Ms. Carver was saying yesterday, she was pretty confident that there's some money coming back. She specifically called out an agency and said, not only do they have this money, which they haven't touched, there's other money that they haven't touched. She was 100% confident that there is some money coming back in, well over the amount. The other thing is though, when we finished last night, we did say, we left at 250, but now I'm hearing, we're gonna hold it at 150, and then when the ARPA reallocation comes in to bring the other, Mr. Farley would say 150 in. So is that what we're saying now?
That's what I'm recommended at this point in time. And I think that's a doable stuff for us. Because listening to Ms. Carver, she was very direct in terms of money coming back, and I think she would not do that publicly if she did not have concrete information, and I trust her.
Not that I don't trust her.
I support
No, I'm
that.
not saying that. you
I do
trust
not support taking the extra $100,000 from another expense line.
No.
So I do support using what's gonna come back from ARPA to do this, and I feel strongly that we're all obviously wanting to make this
No.
investment, but,
her. I am not in favor of touching any expense. Any expense
that's
is
what I'm
there
saying.
for
I
a
think-
purpose.
right,
And if we were to drop an expense, an expenditure line, then we're jeopardizing a service to our community. If we wanna increase it, we have to find revenue. We either increase the revenue line or we take it out from the reserve. That's the
Yeah,
only
I
two
know.
options we have,
Yep.
two options we have.
Yep.
So my recommendation to hold tight on 150, we come back as early as we can and make a budget reappropriation. We have done that in the past, way before the budget into the new year. I can recall we have done that.
I think maybe another option too, just thinking off the top of my head, is maybe the council dig deep and see if there's local partners that may wanna donate to youth services to the city. That might be a possibility as well.
I think, I agree, I think that is a possibility, but I also think that if we do that, then it just increases our capacity to serve more youth, and I wouldn't really be, I for one wouldn't be comfortable, frankly, I'm not comfortable, taking such an important thing and leaving it up to the generosity of others, or, because I don't know where people, you know, some people, you know, look at the position we're in, we wanna fund more, but we're strapped a little bit, and we're trying to figure out how to do that. I think that might be the case across our community, so I wouldn't feel comfortable, solely depending on that.
How do you feel that, Mr. Early, if you don't mind me asking about what Mr. Rivera was saying about doing the 159 and the ARPA when it comes back to, and before, just to be clear, that would happen before the end of 2024, it has to. And then we appropriate some of those funds to then fund that to the level that you're requesting. Because my concern is, and we had asked Corporation Council, I did talk to Mr. Sean and Ryan about this, but for something different, that we put the money in and then from the fund balance and put it in and then take it back out and then put this money in, and then we could be considered supplanting, because this is federal money and there's a real thing about that.
Yeah, oh, absolutely, I mean, anything that we do, you know, has to be in compliance with the parameters, you know, so I'm definitely not suggesting we do anything that, we could find ourselves liable for a misappropriation of funds. I don't think anyone's saying that. I'll consider, Mr. Motivarian's scenario. Right now, I'm not comfortable, with agreeing to that right now, but I'd like a little bit more time to, ponder that and see what that could look like. I think that's a fair answer. Okay, so move on.
Any other question on this?
Oh, I'm saying,
Mr. Williams, you wanna go through,
There's nothing.
No, sorry. I'm reading and asking you at the same time. We just gotta go back up to yours, your recommendation, development administration, and the director of development, the zoning officer, homes coordinator. I just wait for, if you don't mind, we should wait for Ms. Patrick.
oh.
Let's wait on Ms. Patrick. It wouldn't be fair.
Well, I wait for Ms. Patrick.
Take a 2-minute recess. Stretch my legs.
I think we should recess finance till next Tuesday. It's been an exhausting week.
I was hoping to get this thing done tonight. That was my intention.
So, the four are the things that we're
We've not been even talking about that. That's all.
No, understood. And then, how much money we're going to get back, if we do get back. I just recall something around the conversation that we can't put it in this budget because it's budgetary balance. So when we get a call back, when we get money back, we'll have to do
Yes, for our programs outside of this budget, so you have to be a reappropriation to this
And
budget.
what does it take to do that?
It's a simple resolution, simple
Okay.
amending the resolution, taking the money back from those agencies and reappropriate it to the city. And then we will have to list programs
To the
under
city.
the city, yes.
Now, let me ask you a question. So with this whole process that began ARPA, where people put in applications, now all of a sudden there's money back into the city, do we have to readdress
No.
that?
Oh, no,
Absolutely no, oh gosh,
No,
no.
Well, you say no, but we've already had another ask for, we've had an ask for a basketball court. So I'm just bringing that.
No. I am gonna be straight up, and I have made it very clear in the budget meeting and beyond that. I am not supporting any money that is coming back to us to go outside of the city. It's gonna stay, I was very clear during the budget hearing, money's gonna stay in-house.
When you say back to the city, you mean back to the city?
City is connected budget, not to agencies or any other programs outside of the city. I would not support that,
Yeah.
and that's on record again.
Not because.
I hear what you're saying, though, that's a good point to bring up, but
No, we shouldn't do that, and I
know
don't
we
think we should do
shouldn't,
that.
but.
No, we shouldn't.
what if, just hypothetically, what if, and I don't know, can we keep talking?
Yeah, it's live, be careful what you're saying.
But I mean, hypothetically, there might be many more projects that the money would come back. So then,
City
could we
projects.
do, okay, so we can't, like, okay,
We should not consider anything outside of
Okay.
what we've done,
Okay.
allocate to the agency outside, and we should keep that money.
okay,
Nobody would change my mind on that.
okay.
I don't care what they would tell me other than
No, I
that.
just wanna,
I'm straightforward with that,
I wasn't clear
to
with-
keep it, to help us with our projects, if any shortfall, and to address anything that is city
Okay.
related.
Excuse me, sorry.
The youth program, the youth service, the youth program is city program.
Okay.
Any more of that bottle there?
No, I'm having this, it's a little warm.
What do we do?
Okay.
John?
I'm gonna go through lines, with both recommendation, one by one, see where everybody stands, and then we'll wrap up.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, let's continue, I will do, item by item on both recommendation that is before us. And let's move on, and then we'll go to the next one, and then we'll, conclude. Because I don't see that we have a conclusion this evening. So let's deal with, the one that we received today, Department of, Development Administration, Director of Development. Yesterday, there was a recommendation to increase that to 10%. Mr. Williams,
My recommendation.
Oh, it's the here on that sheet, okay.
yes, is that sheet that I shared with you today?
No,
What is the council take on this? Can I please have your input? Go ahead, please.
So I just wanna take it from the larger perspective, and, we are talking about, that this is going to, the amount that, where would you say we would be getting that amount from, the 91,916, where would that have
We
to come
did
from?
not identify
Okay,
where it's coming from.
so, taking from the larger perspective, and let me also keep in mind that this amount or these things already include the 250, they don't include 150, so there's that. So, do we, in order to not spend 91,000 of the fund balance, then I would suggest that maybe we could lower some of these, simply because it's gonna be more than 4%, but also it's maybe not be quite expanding the level that these are at, because within this number, we haven't included the person from the email.
the new one, correct.
So, just wanna put that out there, that
To see
it
that.
could be something you can consider, so it's not the full, what we decided last night. I didn't, frankly, I didn't.
calculator there already, that would, be 97,609 approximately.
I'm sorry, 97?
You add an individual at 10% at their, 2024 dollar salary. It would, be 93,316. $15 would be the new salary, because council did make that change, and a difference of $5,938. That would increase the overall variance from 97 to 609.
609?
Yeah, 97,609.
And I just also want to point out that while we're talking about it, when we originally got the asks for these positions, the director of development, the ask was at 15, so we already reduced it on the ask. So this initial ask for the other position, the principal planner, the initial ask was at 10. So we've already started to make it less than the ask on all of them. Every single one, I think, except no, 2 of them for the smaller amounts for the government administration and community development. They were like really small amounts, and so we didn't lower those. However, administration for the Department of Development started at 15, and I don't know what the original ask was in the city clerk's office, and the finance administration started at 51. So we've already started to reduce those, so you should keep that in mind as we're looking at this. So it started at 10, so do we keep it at 10, or do we reduce it based on what we've done so far?
Okay. For the sake of time and to respect everybody's time, I'm gonna ask, right before us, we have a recommendation for 10%. What are the support for the 10% at this point in time? That is my direct question to the table.
I feel like we went around the table earlier this evening about this. Didn't we kind of about
we
the?
We didn't talk about this one.
Oh, no, not about the
We
specific
didn't talk,
one.
I wanna be specific now.
I guess
because-
I want to hear what other people say. I guess I was talking about trying to stick with the 3%.
Okay, so
So I'd like to hear what other people say.
you're saying lower it from the 10% to a number? What is that?
I mean, across,
Okay, so-
even with all of these too, not, you know.
That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, okay, not just that one.
What I'm saying is that we should try not to go into the fund balance. And so, and again, I'm gonna state that the 250 is already in here, so it doesn't include, if we took out the 150 that's what you're saying is to move there, and then we can be there, but the 250 is already in this.
You wouldn't be taking anything out of fund balance and you took that additional 100,000 out. You've actually reduced the fund balance by 3,000 or 8,000. I mean, that as individuals,
Right, and, but we also have to hear from Mr. Farley how he feels about that, what was proposed.
So I'm getting the two things kind of conflated here.
Me too.
Yeah, you are too? Yeah.
Okay.
So, you're talking right now about the youth line.
I'm talking about everything in here, all of this.
Oh, okay.
Because youth lines in here.
Yes.
So I'm talking about everything that exists on this piece of paper.
And let me better understand what your question is. Am I okay with the 250 because it's already in here? Is that what you're trying to?
No, I'm asking, so the end of the last conversation was that we would leave it as is in the budget currently, which is 150. If we did that, then this would not be over at all, and it would change the conversation.
You're saying that if we did that, if we left it at 150, then that other $100,000 would be up for the negotiation of what.
We will have $3,000 on the right side.
Right.
Right.
Rebalance.
We wouldn't have, so I think we have to make that decision before we start deciding whether these amounts are what we can do, because if we take that out, then there's we don't have to go to the fund balance, actually, there's a little bit more to the fund balance. So that to me is part of the discussion, and the decision that we make before we discuss this, because we know.
Mr. Farley, I understand where you're coming from, and I, in the past and historically, even on this council here, sometimes we agree, and then we backpedal certain times, and it happened a lot of times. I've been here as long as Ms. Porterfield. I know, this is my 11th budget. I'm getting too old for this place here. So yes, I understand where you're coming from, and you are skeptical. I can see that. but I'm gonna repeat again that when the ARPA money is back with us, we can do a budget reappropriation and put an additional 100,000 against this line in the next couple of weeks, once that is finalized
For youth services.
for youth services. If we can back that $100,000 out back, we have $3,000 plus on the right side.
Approximately.
Yes, approximately, yes.
You keep these salaries.
And
But we're separate, first we're talking about the youth services.
you're talking overall, everything, yes. So,
Okay,
to
and are we
overall.
using are we using Mr. Williams's suggestions of
As
raises?
of now, yes, and then we'll have to get,
Or are we using just, you know, what
we're
what
using
we were given
both.
by finance?
We're using the mayor's 2025 proposal to align with that, and also align with the council's, Mr. Williams' change. And also the suggestion from the finance commissioner in terms of the deputy commissioner of finance. New salary in 2025.
Oh, so we're kind of asking a couple different questions in here,
We
actually.
can't get to any of them, no stars, so it's kind of.
Yeah, no.
So that's why I said, are we gonna, is there leaving that 250, that one additional,
And that's why I threw that all back, is that very clear with that moments ago in terms of how we should proceed with that.
So then that changes this dynamic. So we won't be over, so that for me was one of the questions. So that answers the question for me. So what are we gonna do about that? Are we taking it out or not? The 100,000?
The 100,000 out of the ARPA funding that's gonna come back to us for the youth services, I'm supportive of. Making that
So the sheet right here.
250,000. Yeah, this is totally different. Is that what we're talking about right now? That's what I'm trying to ask.
So what I'm talking about is that what Mr. Woodbury said at the end of the last conversation in terms of youth programs, that we would leave it at 150, which is currently what's in the budget. That's what he said.
Mhm.
This, however, reflects the additional 100,000, which makes it at 250. But if we're going with what was suggested at the end, to use the 150 now, and then take some money from when it's recouped, from the programs that weren't able to use it, and then fund it, then that means that this goes down to 150 here.
But we still haven't decided where we wanna actually do these raises, right? I mean.
No, that's what I'm saying, we didn't
Oh,
touch
okay.
on that, we're just talking about.
Yes to the youth services is I'm not sure about these raises. I think I made my statement clear earlier about the raises.
Alright, so that's a no for all the raises from this tax rate.
Well-
Let her say it.
I actually.
No, she said that,
Okay.
Let's
I'm just
I would
saying.
let's
go
not
with,
speak for each other, please.
Well, I'd like to hear what other people say before I make a final call on that. I mean, the 25 council changes,
What?
well, I'm looking at the column that says,
Oh, so the.
Council
okay,
changes.
Okay. Mhm.
how do other people feel about these salary increases?
I definitely think there need to be increases, that's not a
Yeah.
question, so I can answer that, and I don't mean just for one position. And I'll state again that this is already a reduction from what was, the ask was, and if we're adding the additional ask that we got the email for, and that was at 10%, then in my mind, that means that we also reduced that from the original ask as well. That's my opinion.
So I will be the first person at this point to recommend solid numbers. I'm recommending we return the youth program line to 150 which will balance all of the recommendations I previously highlighted, plus the additional person that presented today with the cost savings to the fund balance. That is my recommendation. And I would say if no one else is prepared to respond in a similar manner, then I'm going to ask for a recess, because at that point, we're just going around in circles about would-haves and could-haves and should-haves if no one is going to just put out a number. And I mean that as respectfully as possible.
I think I put out my number, just we need to reduce the other person, so I'm good with this, and we should just reduce the additional one we got, because going by what we did before, we reduced everybody from 15 to 10. So if the ask is 10, then we should look at a number to reduce, and then I'm comfortable with everything else on here.
So you're good with the council 2025 percentage change, except for the youth programs?
I was good with the new programs, but
I'm trying to get to move on from here.
yes,
So
yes.
Except for the youth
adding in the
program.
planner, it comes to 97,609 is
Yeah.
what I'm hearing. 97609 is what I think,
That's the variance.
an additional
But if you
97.
remove the youth program back to 150, then that will be on the right side of $3,000 plus, not negative. Go ahead.
Yes, and as I stated earlier, I just think it's sending the wrong message to a lot of different people. We're facing a huge deficit this year, moving forward next year. And at this point, I don't think, I'm not in favor of considering any of these raises,
None of them?
not here.
No raises beyond that?
Hold on, I don't understand. Why are you doing that? I'm just trying to get some clarification
No,
from you
no,
right
I'm
now. I
just
don't understand
saying.
what that is.
Yeah.
So
It's getting confusing.
I'm trying, I just hear people saying different things, so what I'm
I
saying,
stated it earlier, I'm not in favor, not with the deficit that we're
yes,
facing.
not in favor does not reflect the number that, and that's what we need to know numbers in order to, hold on a second, let me finish what I'm saying, please. Not in favor doesn't give us a number, we need numbers in order to make informed decisions. So what I'm asking you is that, are you saying that you are not in favor of any raises, or are you in favor of 3% raises across the board? Or what are you in favor of, is what I'm saying?
Well, we're talking about this year right now.
So you're saying you're
in
not in favor of this? Oh, okay, so
Correct.
even with the youth programs, you're not in
Yes.
favor of any of that?
Well, the youth program, we all discussed, we're in favor of increasing the youth. I don't like depending on ARPA money, especially it's a blue line now. I wanna know what it's gonna be in 2026. I want it on the line, and I'm in favor of increasing it on the line.
Yes,
Youth services.
yes, yep, that's what, yeah.
So that's,
But not these additional
right,
position raises.
Okay,
I would support that. Yes to the youth and no to these other,
we have to.
just keeping it at the 3% for the others.
but
And if we're gonna go
are
around
you
and
saying
around, then
that,
we
keep
do
it at
precise.
3% for everyone, or are you saying 3% and then, but certain positions we're gonna go?
You know, I guess
far
I'm gonna
beyond
have to compromise, and I was interested in deputy finance, but I'm happy to compromise if I need to.
So you're saying 3% across the board for department heads?
The way that it has been, yeah.
Okay.
These. Well, actually, these are already in the budget. The one that we were handed originally is already in the budget, I believe, right?
The first column, the column where it says 3%, that's what's in the budget.
Oh, gotcha. Right,
In the proposed budget?
Yes, in the.
right, gotcha.
Mhm.
Gotcha.
Except for the deputy finance.
Right, no, I get that.
So then could we look at what the numbers would be if everyone got
These are what
3?
we should look at.
Right, we got that.
So then,
We have that before us, there's a sheet here. This sheet here.
Yep. I mean, some of these are very, very minor. You know what I mean? If you look at the difference column, some of them are very minor. So I'd be happy to think about those too. I gotta hear from other people.
Listen, you're telling me something, so that's good, at least, yeah, I'm trying to hear, yeah.
This is, this piece that we got, we didn't get it, we got it,
Yes, everybody should have a copy.
we got it a while
Two
ago.
copies, one with name, I ask you not to mention names, just
Oh.
mention the position, this is your.
I was looking at the one without the names.
I mean, I have to agree with, Ms. Patrick, there are some of them here that are $179,
Yeah.
732,
657.
657. Those will not make an impact on this budget because, and we could compromise and, make a recommendation to the finance, make a recommendation to the mayor. But, I ask, but, let's compromise. I mean, in terms of the raises, my position on the recommendation from Mr. Williams, I mean, if I have to compromise, I would suggest 5%. Leave the second and third as is, get a small adjustment. Leave the second to last one as is, as recommended by the Finance Commission, to bring that up to par for 100,000. And the youth service, let's hold that at 150. And we will have that budget amendment before the year out to bring that in line with a number that we all can agree on. And that will be funded by the ARPA allocation at that point in time when we take the money back from those agencies. I don't know what better I can do at this point in time.
I can live with that.
I mean, that's a big compromise there. I don't think it's a lot of money, it's minor because it's adjusting for the 15%, it's 10% recommendation. We split it in half, first line, leave the second and third line as is, fourth line, 5%. Commissioner, I'm sticking with Mr. Ferrari recommendation on that line. Let's hold tight on the other one and that's it. And sorry, the principal planner, also 5% on top of the mayor's recommendation.
So let's just be clear and make sure we do the math on the principal planner and the director of development, that in terms of, and the amount that's going to be. And frankly, my recommendation would have been higher, I was going more towards 8%, but,
No, that's my recommendation, that's yours. So I throw it out there, and that's my compromise. I think, for the sake of moving forward, we need to
Print
move
that out
forward.
for us, or was that what he's saying, so I can look at it and reference it?
Huh?
So I'd just like to see what that would look like on paper, so therefore I can reference it better. Could we do that?
Well, we don't have a lot of time.
If everyone's on the same page with percentages, I'll do it. But if everyone has different ideas of what percentage should be, it's gonna be chaotic.
Okay, I don't, so I was hearing some level of agreement from, council members, so I was just trying to see if that's a starting point at least. But it's fine, if not, then, okay.
You have to go one by line though, I agree.
Say that again?
If everyone's in agreement with the percentage and put it together.
Let me pass this on. Just for the sake of glancing at it, this is what my suggestion is. 5% on those lines that I highlighted onto the right. No, just pass it, it's fine. And, if you have any suggestion, say it out, let's discuss it and let's move forward. If you can't have an agreement, let's move to the next item. We're not gonna sit in it.
Can I take that back? Thank you. Just missing another piece though. It's so confusing without this paper. Excuse me.
based on these recommendations, then we have one position getting a 25% increase and other positions getting 5% increase?
But that's that's a recommendation to finance chair.
Sure,
Yes.
sure, no, I'm,
That's what I
yeah,
said,
yeah,
I
for
agree
clear. All right.
with his recommendation to bring that in line.
So, I'd just like to offer that, so my recommendation is more like 8, and because I know that 5 is the recommendation on the table, but 5 is half of the already lowered. So I was starting at what the ask was and taking that in half. And that becomes 7.5 or 8, as opposed to taking what we already reduced and dividing that in half. So that's how I came up with the number 8.
John, these percentages that you've put in this column, are
Five,
is that
five.
what, is this what
That would align with, instead
the
of,
25 council changes or not?
it will be the 3% plus the 5,
3%
plus
plus,
the 5.
gotcha.
Just wanna point out too, I don't know if it makes any difference, but, you have the position of director of development who oversees the principal planner, and so if you look at the salaries.
Oh, yeah.
Suggested it's very close.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, the director would have to be higher than the principal planner.
Right. So that's
sorry.
that's what I'm saying, if we started at 15 and we went to 8, which is like half 15, and then we started at 10, and we went to 5 for that principal planner position, that's half of that, but that still keeps them below the.
I need to see the salaries, right? I mean, that's what you're saying too. I
You
need to
see the
see
numbers?
the actual numbers.
When you go from 10 to 5%, you're still, you're giving them the same percentage, it's still gonna be very, close amounts, unless you're gonna give the director of development 8%, it's still, it's very minimal.
Mr. Williams, you're staying with your recommendation? Is there any adjustment?
I will adjust to the 8% if you, are you hard at your
No, I'm
recommendations?
not hard, I'm trying to, compromise.
Then I would say I compromise to Ms. Porterfield's recommendation.
Anybody else? Tamani, Joe?
You do 8% on all of these?
No,
No,
no, not all, just.
No, I mean, these that are on Mr.
The
Williams'
one,
sheets.
yes.
Sheet.
The one that currently says 10 would be
Well, there's 2 that,
Yeah,
Say
it will
10.
be 2.
and stay with 25%.
Yes.
I mean, I know this sounds crazy, but we're not suggesting 8% for the 2 that are, one that's 4.01% and one
8. No,
that's
we're only
3.2.
talking about the ones that are currently at 10, to put them at 8. The other ones, I think the stated are just minimum.
Because of the amount, the variance is so low.
Yep.
We can just, make a recommendation to finance and to say, what? Our recommendation is to just, what Mr. Williams has on the sheet recommendation here is to just have those just added.
So it'd be 8, 4.01, 3.26, 8, 25%, and then youth programs we've already decided.
I'd be out.
I would compromise to there.
yeah, me too.
Joey, I didn't hear you.
Yeah, I could.
I'm fine with that to compromise.
No.
We gotta move somewhere, we gotta send a recommendation over, and the mayor's gonna come back to us. He has all right to come back to us and, with his, feedback.
So you're saying no?
No, yeah, I'm not, I can't get there. I can't
Can't
quite
get
get
where?
there with, the recommendation that's on the table right now. I
I'm gonna
can't
go
get
back to
there.
3%?
Um,
Across the board, I mean.
Which one, you were gonna, you wanted to stay, at the 10%?
well, I guess, my larger issue here is really the youth program increase being out. And I understand that, that there's talks around, ARPA funding for that. But I'm just not there. That's what it is.
Okay,
I think we all
respect
wanna do
that.
that. I think we all wanna do the youth one,
Yeah,
no?
yeah. But I mean,
He wants to see it in this budget,
and respectfully, you know, I think we all do want that, but.
So, Ms. Farley, where would you recommend we take this 100,000 from?
So because we're talking about two different things here, and I don't want to frame it as it's like, so it's like we're talking about staff increases, and we're talking about youth programs, and we're saying that they will essentially close to zero each other out, right? Because what you're saying is that with the youth program out, then that leaves the money in and what's being proposed here, or any variation of that to fund the positions as was proposed, correct?
and including the youth position at 150, including that. Not at 100, not 250, but including the youth program.
Right, no, yeah, no, I understand that, I understand that, yeah. Right, so we're talking, so again, so I would say that we're talking about kind of two different things, and, you know, I would be okay with compromising to, the percentages that are on the table now, but I would also say that, we need to leave that $100,000 in there for the youth programs,
Okay,
in my position.
so where would you like us to suggest to take that out from?
Where are you gonna get the money where are we taking the money from to increase salaries? Where are we getting that from?
Fund balance,
The fund balance? Then same place.
that's where some of them, right?
Some are underfunded positions.
Some, okay, whether it's an ARPA fund position, did you designate which ones, oh, yeah.
They're in the budget I gave you.
Okay.
I mean,
I have it there.
But even with,
commissioners are funded.
Okay,
yeah, so even, well, I guess my point would be that it'd be just, you know, same place where we're funding, where we would find money for, these increases at.
Well, that's a good point.
So bear in mind, it's 100,000 versus 5,000. It's a big difference, so the salary increase, I'm saying maybe 5,000, 8,000 that we're talking about there, it's not a big dent, and versus 100,000 from the general, fund. Just want to highlight that. So the increase might look, the percentage might, we're saying 8, but when you calculate that, to add that, it's not a big number.
You're saying,
That's true,
yes, okay, no,
that's true.
yeah, you help me get there, so you're saying 8%,
The wiggle room is easier in terms of the operating budget.
sure, I'm just talking about just the numbers. John, you're saying that the proposed increases on this sheet is equal up to how much money, what you're saying?
We'd have to recalculate,
We'll
but,
have to recalculate.
but even if we
you're
just
looking
look,
for
even
real
if we
numbers
just
and
looked,
direct to the-
No, I'm just saying,
I'll have to
you can
recalculate.
ball,
But I'm just using a comparison.
Sure, I'm not,
Yeah,
I'm not.
and that's what I'm trying to do.
So I just say, simply put, the original ask for the deputy commissioner of finance, that reduction alone would cover
Yes,
all of the recommendations plus, and not saying that's gonna be perfectly, but to Mr. Mover's point, the amount that we'd have to remove from the fund balance would be marginal, at best.
exactly.
Just don't,
so,
we don't have a
and can I point out
calculator.
one other thing?
Go ahead.
I don't know if this is really calculated on what we wanted. We wanted, so it looks like to me like you've included the mayor's 3% and then 10% on top of that.
No, it's,
the columns,
3% is
just look
what
at the
the
columns.
municipal budget
Right,
suggests.
which is this.
10% is what the Councilman, suggested, Carl.
And
So that's from the adopted 2024 salary.
so you did 10% from here?
Correct.
So you did 10% on a 24?
Correct.
Oh,
It's not 10% of the mayor's proposed budget, that would be 13% or whatever.
Yeah, right,
Well,
right.
then that is more or less that. All right, we gotta move on. All right. So we have numbers, I asked that,
14, 19,
this party is like,
15.
we would like to see the 250 and the money coming out of the fund balance.
well,
And I think 5 of us are saying that they're good with 8% for the first line, 8% for the, fourth line. the second to last line remain the same, and reduce the youth service to 150 until we can reallocate ARPA funding in the next several weeks,
And 5% principal plan.
and 5% for the principal planning. I'm gonna, 5 of us, I think, compromise on that. I will leave that here for discussion. I will ask the Deputy Finance Commissioner to work those numbers for us.
For tonight?
Not for tonight, no, absolutely not, I won't do that to you. If you have the notes, I have.
I can go down if you want to wait.
Yeah.
Well, let's finish off this one, because I don't know if, but those are the numbers I have there. Let's turn to this page here, because this was the first recommendation, let's address this.
Well,
And yes, if we can wait and have them update that and come back to us. Oh,
so we're back here?
it's multiple pages on this one here.
Did you get that
This was the
today's
first
packet or
recommendation.
just a previous packet?
It
that
says
we had?
2025 council budget changes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Go back and find that.
I'm gonna go through each one of them and ask where your position is, and let's move forward.
We kind of just did some of this, okay. Okay, got it.
So,
But we only have to talk about the ones that we didn't just talk about on this sheet.
No, we don't have, no, it's not in here.
Almost everything, no, none of these are on the sheet.
This
Oh,
is-
sorry.
This is separate.
I agree with
I
everything.
had it tonight.
Take your time, take your time.
Yeah.
It's
I'm
stapled,
for anything
check
with a
one of the
staple.
staple.
I'm never in this.
Me too. I'm fine with all of
Yeah.
this.
No.
I thought we,
Yes.
I thought we did this and everybody agreed.
No, we've been through, but I don't think anybody
Okay.
had any agreement to move forward.
Oh, okay.
It was just a proposal,
Okay.
it wasn't like what we're doing here right now, so we compromise and to say that, oh, we have X, Y, Z and go with it. Okay, so let's address the first one. 1410, 100 city clerk salary, that's a movement from the 5,000 from the registrar to the city clerk, and adjusting the stipend to $3,000. That has been there for, the stipend been there for several years.
Instead of doing what's on this sheet. City
No,
clerk
it's
is
a
on the
different
sheet.
title. Yeah, but it's a different, she's a registrar in addition.
That's a salary adjustment. This is a register, what we call the money that is set aside for the register.
No, I
To move
understand.
that from the stipend, it doesn't belong to stipend, it belongs to that salary line.
Separate salary.
What we're doing is reducing the deputy clerk's salary?
There is, deputy registrar?
I'm sorry,
There
deputy
is one over
registrar.
there. There is a
Salary
regular
again?
position. There's not.
Okay, then I'm thinking of the deputy clerk, right? We have a deputy
Yes,
clerk?
yes.
Okay,
This is
thank
the
you.
deputy registrar.
I see.
Are there any objections to this?
So on this, basically, that salary would be, 88,892, is that what this comes out to, 88,892?
88,235.
It would be adjusted because if you're looking at 8%, the city clerk salary would be a little more than 83,235, so there'd be a small adjustment in this.
So I would stick with what's on this sheet, not on this sheet.
For which one?
We're on the first one, the city clerk.
I think it's two different titles.
I'm looking at something that says city clerk here, but 1410 100. So we have to choose between either 88, well, it's gonna be more than 88,892, right?
So.
I don't know what 8% is.
The salary's not being factored in, this is just the stipend that's.
This is not a salary adjustment.
Right.
This is a stipend to be in that role. I think I provide that, Ms. Michael.
Okay, so the
It's-
3,000
It's
would be
more
on
of an
top of what we
allowance,
just
it's
decided.
an allowance to be in that capacity. I think that was explained in the document that was provided to us. So this should not be considered as a salary. It's in the salary line, but not a salary. Is that correct, Eric?
Repeat that in your.
It's a, what I would say, an allowance.
I thought we were-
Yeah,
Or
it's for
annual leave.
the registrar, 5,000, I guess it's a stipend for lack of better terms, but it's an additional amount that
away from the salary.
And we already approved that in the other,
Yes, so we're saying that we're okay to proceed with the 8% salary increase, and then there's moving this allowance out from stipend, which it didn't belong to, and to account for stipend correctly as $3,000. It is not a stipend.
It just makes it more transparent.
Go ahead, please.
But it's a different line, it's still part of the salary. Is that, Derek, right, what we decided on?
It was,
The registrar's a different title than a clerk,
it's a
which I don't have an
different,
issue with.
in past years, it was, in the salary, it was out of the salary, I think this year it's being put within the city clerk's salary line. From what the commissioner has put together.
Okay, good. I don't
But
know.
I'm gonna ask this question again. Why is it movement? And not keep it in the same line and hire someone to consider?
Okay, so the movement is because since I started in 2019, I've trained several people in that position, and I've been carrying the duties myself on. It has been all the registrar duties. I have not been able to fully depend on a deputy for, and we have a new deputy again.
And you're not gonna, so you're gonna be taking that,
Registrar.
you're gonna continue to take that responsibility.
That is correct. Including the weekend calls, the evening calls, everything.
And the weekends on evening call, what it has to do with this position?
That has to do with our funeral directors.
Okay,
And just to be clear, you take them even if you're not here.
If I'm across the other side of the globe, I take those calls. Which I have not.
those surveys is a must. We can ask.
And I will say from that position, they need to be available 24 hours a day, 365 days a year.
Oh, yes,
Okay,
yes.
I got you.
So I thought there was just a different placement. Instead of putting in the city clerks, I thought there was gonna be a separate line registrar, but I don't have an issue.
So we're good with that one?
And that's why I asked for the clarification, because this line, we have discussed it last year, we have discussed it the year before, and it seems to be every year discussion, and that's why I asked for documentation to be shared to us, so it can better help us. I'm gonna ask everybody, what is your position on this first item,
I'm fine with that.
A and B?
Yes.
Anybody have any objection on this? I'm just gonna mark all on this, the first two. The next one, let's move to senior center program. Better not touch this.
I do have a
I'm
question.
joking.
I do have a question about this. It started out there were 3. How many senior programs are there currently?
there's,
Two.
Monday, well, there's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday.
Oh, but this is
I'm
just
talking
on
about locations.
Right, there's Friday and Wednesday, Mondays and Fridays. The middle one didn't,
Pan out.
we've been in a couple of different
We've had some
places.
different attendance issues and we've been to different places. Tuesday and Thursday is fine.
So I guess my question is this.
Monday.
If we were funding 3, then we were funding 3 at $20,000 each?
Yes,
Yeah, that was
So
the,
now
that
that
was
we're
the,
funding 2,
well, this is also includes, money that we need to, put towards the program that's on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Cause they
Where?
get some money from CDBG, but it doesn't cover the cost of their program.
it does. They have, it's my understanding that they still have money there left over in that CDBG to cover the senior center, the Hibernian Hall?
I'll have to take a look again.
Yes.
Offhand, I don't know the number.
Go ahead, please.
Originally it was 45,000.
For the entire program.
Right, for our program, not our program, senior program. And then I thought what we got from Catholic Charities for the budget, in fact, Ms. Patrick had asked them to come speak to the council, but they never did, but it's just, they need the $60,000 just for 2. But I didn't know anything about.
Yeah,
We're
I
giving
have
some to the
to
Hibernian?
echo that. I think that's a lot of ask for the 2 program, because I know over the years, not a lot of activities happening.
I would be okay actually with, if that
Reducing it?
has to be reduced.
40,000 or, yeah,
well, at least the
I think we have to
45
kind of
ask.
reconfigure with them.
Right,
So, but I don't wanna hurt the Hibernian one, cause that one's very, very
Well,
active.
were we giving some of this to them?
It's,
Hibernian Hall is being funded by CDBG from the beginning.
they have,
And
but
they
they get
always
40,
have funding there,
yeah,
always leftover funding.
I believe that it's about $12,000 that would need to come out of this funding to make them whole.
When last year we tried to add this,
Year to date, well, for period 9, and for period 9, there's 0
for who?
spent for a
Zero.
1989-499A.
Zero.
Yes, so
They
let me
must
say,
not have put their invoices.
this program has not been following up properly, and they have not been providing a lot of service to the seniors
But they-
for this feeding program, and if we are to fund it, we need to step up, all of us, and to kind of like, what help do they need to improve the service?
But
So
it's not,
to make people aware that the service is there and to utilize it. Right now, it's not being utilized to the capacity, and I have witnessed it, so I'm talking firsthand. So I don't have a problem funding it, continue to
Right.
fund it, but how do we improve it?
I
It is
I
not
would agree
functioning
that we need
properly right
We
now.
need to improve
The
it,
best-
we need to improve
The
attendance.
best senior service that we have right now is at the Hibernian Hall.
I agree.
And we all have witnessed and visit there,
Absolutely, but we wanted it in different
Yeah.
neighborhoods.
yes.
And we
but-
wanted it 5 days a week. but-
Yes.
No,
Yeah.
absolutely, in all neighborhoods, but at the same point, if we don't market the service there and people are not showing up, then we're
And
failing.
Mr. Mayor, can I just ask that we consider what's on the line right now, and then if there's any expansionary conversations, we have those at the committee
This
meeting?
reduction that we're talking. Cause I think, because this money was to fund 3 and we only have 2. So I was thinking right here, right now, we just take it out.
But we have
I'd
two
like to
from
look at
Catholic
our
Charities
numbers.
and we have the Hibernians.
Which is funded by CDBG.
It's not completely funded by CDBG by the time that it gets to the end of the year. I spoke with them before we went into budget process to find
So
this.
everybody's not actual on that, for that specific program out there, do you, by any chance?
For this year,
Let's look at last year, I
Well,
mean, this year.
If it's senior funding and they need it, then keep it in.
I'm okay with keeping it in.
Yeah, I don't know what the conversation was.
No, if the money is to help the Hibernian senior, I have no issue with that, but I'm just talking out loud on the
last
other
year's
two.
total was $10,355.89.
Is what we spent?
Correct.
Yeah, so we still on the ground.
10.4.
Percent?
That's the input, that would be,
Almost that.
Yes.
that they must
Oh,
not put
okay.
an
How
input.
much money do we?
so,
They are.
We have to pay right now.
All right, so.
All right,
so hold on,
So here-
there's a lot of information here and I'm trying to make a decision based on something, cause I feel like we're not being clear. So, you said that last year, $10,000 was spent out of this line?
10,400 approximately.
And we budgeted, and this proposed budget is for $60,000?
last year it was 60 also.
Correct.
Hold on, say it again, last year?
Last year it
We
was
also
60,000.
We budgeted for 60,000.
They spent
10,000.
It's odd.
They,
Send you invoices, right? And that's how they get reimbursed. I'm talking about Catholic Charities.
Send invoices and then we send them.
one of the reasons for that too, is that the poor attendance, sometimes they are 2, 3.
No, we,
yeah.
I met with them, we
Yeah.
met with them relatively
It's
recently.
a poor attendance, so we need to all get on board and to get it out there, so kind of like, sell it to our seniors to get out there and access the service.
Mhm.
Similarly to what we're doing for the Hibernian, they are full capacity.
Well, they're full, they're
Their
full.
capacity, so I think all of us need to do the same thing for the other 2 centers.
I think the other centers, the 2 days are, for Schenectady residents only. Sometimes it's difficult, and the
That's true.
locations that we did choose were close to, senior housing. Of course, the cafe up there, which is
That one
almost
gets
at full
packed.
capacity.
Yeah.
45 people every week with some small chair yoga.
Mhm. MVP still does the
Yeah.
cheerleader for free for us.
Yeah,
And
then
I think it's important for our
but then there are some
seniors.
members from Hibernian who do attend these.
They do,
too.
oh, they
They do?
definitely do,
Oh,
yeah, they do,
absolutely.
yeah.
So, Ira,
But everything we're
what are
talking
we,
about.
what are we to talk about this? Let's move on from this.
I-
60,000, 45,000?
It's leaving it alone, like,
I'm good with, I mean, if we only spent 10, I'm good with, take, since there's only 2 centers, there was another center, if they're not there, I'm good with moving it down to 40.
Yeah, I mean, Catholic charities would just have to adjust, it might mean that they'll cut back the other day
they'll
and
cut
just
back
have the
the other
Fridays.
center.
Well,
Why would it cut
I
back?
don't think they have to come back,
No,
because
Well,
Well, why would they cut back if they're only spending 10?
they're only spending, they don't have to cut back, it's just that they have to keep promoting the service, and if they decide to spend more, let them come back to us.
It seems
it's
like if we were to fund it at 40, then they
It's
could,
$5.
increase it 4 times.
let me just see.
We could always leave
The
the
attendance is very low.
leave the $60,000.
I can say that the attendance are very low, and that's why the numbers are so low.
I know that attendance
Yeah.
is low,
And,
except on Fridays,
yeah.
and well, I mean, Tuesdays and
Yeah.
Thursdays, but.
It's very low, so
Okay.
that could be the possibility, why the $10,000 that there for last year.
Is what,
Well, they pay $5.
yes,
Yeah.
Well, the individuals do. but
Right.
The other, but it's a $15 meal, so.
right.
That's why I think they haven't maybe
haven't been-
sent in for all the
they must not have been
reimbursement,
putting
so
They
it
it's,
should have, I mean, if last year they spent 10,000, they're 10 months
so-
behind.
so it's $15, just say, for 45 people and up, is times 52 weeks equals.
No. Here, let's move on, let's agree on a number here and move forward.
based on last year's number, I'm willing to stay at 40. And if they go above that, we need it, then we can, do this an adjustment, right
I'm
now,
happy
we're
to
going
go
to spend
Are you?
quarter.
I'm
Okay.
willing to pursue $40,000.
Let's do,
Me
let's,
too.
yes. And that will free up back the money into the contingency line. $40,000. Do I have all in agreement with this? Okay. Let's move to, out of grade for record access.
What does that mean?
Position in the law department.
So can you tell us which position that goes with?
Record access. I believe so.
The person that does what? Yeah, just give me a minute. So, John, or anybody, do you know why there's an unagreed pay there for that one?
There was I believe there was a grievance of some sort last year, and it was settled. And they are currently receiving unagreed pay. We felt that it was best to keep it in unagreed pay for 2025 until the CB community contract is negotiated.
Okay. So this is an internal
Yeah.
adjustment.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm okay with that.
I'm okay with this too.
Yep.
Anybody else have objection on
And
this?
and they took it out
This
of-
is an internal realignment.
And they just took it out of judgment and claims,
Yes.
it's not affecting anything.
Yes. Do I have any objection on this?
No,
Okay. The next one is Public Safety Foundation. We're adding 20,000 to that line. I'm bringing that in line with the fire department, $25,000. Any objection to this? I'm gonna mark all in favor. And then we go to capital fund. And those are some alignment with, well, this is not ours, this is alignment with regards to Mr. Wallen and Mr. Daly.
I'm fine with these.
This, I'm not gonna add because this is from them directly. And then there's a movement from water to sewer. That's not our recommendation, that's from them. And then there's an adjustment because of the rental, zero that line out.
Yep,
And that money, that 5,000 offset by taking it out of the light, power and gas. So that's a zero impact. So I can safely say that all of us are in agreement with these changes.
yes.
All right, I like that. So, Derek, you might take a couple minutes and just adjust this?
You want to hold on?
Huh?
You want to hold on for a few minutes?
Yes, yes,
Are you want us to wait and do this?
yes. And I'll just make one more attempt at it, see where everybody is, and you know what? I just need to know where we stand. So that way we can go into the weekend and knowing that we have some things to work on. Do we have anything else to discuss?
What were these that we were gonna talk about?
This document I requested from a corporation counsel in terms of us better understanding how
What's that?
how do we give,
You better wait.
how can we recommend raises to elected official? So it was more of a guidance. How do we approve or consider raises to elected official?
It sounds like, it looks like from a quick reading that we can't.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I wanted
So we
to,
don't
because
have
I was talking to the mayor in terms of, when I was here, we were talking about the hearing, why he didn't submit any recommendation for a raise, and he was referring to the city charter. And I wanted Ms. Barrage to kind of explain so what our disposal in terms of how do we go about doing those raises. So I will ask Monday for her to kind of brief us on this.
Okay, because just a
That's
quick
all.
reading of it
So
says
this
that
is
we
just for
can't, we
our reading
cannot
and
do.
understanding it.
Yeah,
Last year, we did receive a memo in terms of what we can and what do, but this is more in depth to kind of outline all the sections. So that we understand going forward that we're not second guessing ourselves.
those were helpful. Oof, tired.
Are you tired?
I am, yes.
Me too.
This is the first meeting we're having without a corporation council representation.
Good point.
Yeah. That should not happen.
Mm.
If Ms. Barrage was leaving, someone else should have stepped in to replace that. Because they are, I could have discussed this legal stuff here that we have in our package here. It's unfortunate.
Please. And dinner.
Me
I
too.
just texted her about me, any dinner? Oh, she's got Ella over.
Oh, nice.
Time to cook dinner.
She does.
She does?
My mouth is good.
What'd she
Very
make?
good.
Don't tell me, I'm so hungry.
Oh, no, she makes dinner almost every night.
That's really great.
Last night we just had a charcuterie board.
Nice.
Everything in the refrigerator.
That's the way to do it.
Yes. Done for the person, right? The funeral for the 5 victim.
But he, so he's still not released, yeah, he's still.
Hmm.
But I didn't even just make, I wanted to say.
Yeah, that's speak.
Do you want to mute?
No, don't mute it because we might have to ask questions then.
Well, she can mute it while we're talking until he comes back.
How could I?
And we can just talk.
Somebody's gonna show up at the podium and say, well, we muted because we're doing something.
Well, you can see, they can see very clearly that we're in a very relaxed state here. We're not discussing anything.
You can practice. When you said very well, state, like.
Oh my gosh.
Now it's getting warm in here.
So when do we make our final decision?
Can you watch out for anything? Just once a day.
I think that is.
I'm much are
Because
those?
Joe just got snacks for
How much is it in the vending machine? Well, I'm gonna wait, because
No,
I wanna eat real food.
Since it's just Joe only got snacks for
Can be eating and what, you know, we're looking at.
Warm break.
I'm happy to have meeting the other kids and you alone can be eating. You gotta share.
I'm gonna go
Did
sit
it just get really hot? Did it just get really hot in here?
Oh my gosh.
It's getting very warm in here.
Yeah, I thought so too.
We're gonna do this as fast as we can.
But then, so we're not gonna be able to, we have to come back. So when are we gonna do that?
I'm gonna recess for Monday. And we'll meet at a committee meeting, called finance, and then recess it.
So we can do it during the 5:30 meeting?
After the 5:30, right
Oh,
after.
okay.
we
Well,
close.
I think that would be a long meeting.
It is, because there's a big agenda.
Trash on that.
There's a lot on.
Look,
We'll have to have it.
I was hoping that today would have been the day.
Yeah, me too.
I was finger crossed.
What,
I said,
after we finish this particular discussion that we're in right now, what do we have to do next on the budget?
no, once, if we can come up with some sort of agreement, these hot topics here,
And
and if we can see a path, then we'll move.
tonight,
Well, let's do the number, come back.
okay.
And if we can come with some sort of
That
stuff,
would be good.
we'll make a recommendation. If not, we'll come back Monday and revisit it.
Okay.
And then make a recommendation. If not, we'll have to recess for Tuesday and keep going.
D, is there any water in that one? Please. Thank you, I think I can press that. Thank you. That's good, thank you.
Sam, you did add that on the agenda.
For budget discussion.
2025 budget, same,
It's part of the review, it's review/discussion because we had the public hearing
public hearing is different.
for the operating budget.
Yes, but that's to discuss public hearing. Any comments?
That would be in
Oh,
2
it's
weeks,
a review
right?
of the whole thing though.
We just
Whether
got
you're
council
gonna
this
pass it.
week.
I mean, if you want it as a separate thing, we can do that.
Yes, let's put it 2025 operating budget.
Yeah.
The same description as you have with this year,
Okay,
as a separate item.
okay.
Because that item, I will move to recess that item to the end of our meeting.
Oh, okay.
That's what it says, it just says review of this same title. But it says review discussion now. Review/discussion. Because the title's still the same.
And the one we run across the street, get them slice, or I can shoot up the store.
They deliver.
And you're gonna add that on the agenda for me?
We have to, for nothing to finish tonight.
It's
Sam?
right here.
Would you mind add that, discussion to, or recommend, what did I say just now about salary, analysis? Was
The formal resolution for mayor to do research analysis on employment for department heads?
Yes,
That, okay.
Mhm.
And you said you wanted a separate line for discussion?
yes, separate line, just wanted to say, yeah. Yeah, I think we do that and just give the mayor and his HR to go and look at that and come back to us. You know, it is what it is. If we have to realign them in a year, and if we have the funding and the mayor is okay with it, we'll revisit it and we'll realign and bring them up to par.
I mean, we could even discuss it mid-year.
Yes, as soon as the report is
Yeah, yeah,
available.
oh, I see, I
As
see.
soon as the
I
report
thought
will
you
have
said
it on the
mid-year.
agenda. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Derek.
Well, the number is on here, it's 84. We took
One more. It's gonna happen. Floating home. And then we were drinking water on it.
That's one over.
And what she wrote, she came in with something. Oh,
I didn't have another one. Maybe
Oh.
one more.
okay.
This is even better.
No.
Here, we can look on together.
That's not your part. Do you mind?
Thank you.
Oh, okay.
We are missing, no, we're not missing, sorry. that is giving us 9,900. With these changes as proposed,
Well,
they're giving $9,957 back to the general fund.
but I have to, bring something
How,
in.
how is that? How did we give money back? If we're making raises, how are we giving money back?
Because
There's a drop of $20,000 on the second to last one.
they gave us the ring.
Oh.
So that's where the offset is.
There was a good point that was made by Derek that the salaries, in, development are very, very close, like a grand apart, not even. Yeah. Look at the first one and the last one. So this is these, I'm sorry.
I was gonna say they already were, so I'd say taking into consideration their years of service, I think that
Okay,
That is also a true factor. So, yes,
oh, well, it's actually a little bit more with our proposed changes, so, okay.
yeah.
I agree with that.
Yeah,
Years of service.
yes, but it's just a little bit more with our changes, so, okay.
Yes, it's a position that's higher, but then look at, years of service that associated with these, the position.
It's just I had to look for the column, because this time there's no headings. And that's okay, I got it, nope, I just put it right here, and then.
Put it over your little sheet.
So I guess my only question would be then, so then we're making calculations not based on the position, but the person, then, right?
What's that?
The job, the
What do you mean?
That's true.
position and the years of service.
What I mean is that if our justification for that is years of service, then we're factoring a person, how long they've been here. And again, I would just, so are we talking about the individual person or are we talking about the position?
I think to me, we're talking about that. I think we're talking about the position, and when you would, like with any position, if you've been there longer than me, then you're gonna make more money just by the fact that you've been there longer. And if it's a lower position, you might be close to me, or I might be close to your salary. But I think we're talking about how long, about the position, because in a certain position, you're gonna make a certain salary. And I also think that we're talking about when you're in a certain position for a certain amount of time, there's an expectation that your salary's gonna be a little bit higher.
Sure. I mean,
That's how I see it.
no, what I'm saying is, I hear the justification for it. What I'm saying is that I'm not as concerned as the justification as I am the calculation. So because if we're calculating that, well, then that's something that we need to factor in. Again, this is where, so if this person who's been here for as long as they've been here, they leave, we hire someone that walks in new, then we would reduce that. Is that, that's
Yeah,
what
that's
you're
right.
saying?
It would go back to,
Right.
yeah.
Okay, so if we're making that calculation, then I would just think that we would just have to be a little mindful of like, what other calculations are we making or what other things are we not considering?
Like,
Well, I think then we have to look at like, so our director of development is almost overseeing like two departments, right?
no, it's one department, but it's a lot of titles that is associated, positions are associated with that department.
So it's one department, but it's, what, can you make that distinction for me again, Mr. Moutier? You're saying?
It's one department, but it's a multiple position
But it's
within that department.
But it's multiple positions under that director, that
Yes,
person, right?
yes.
As to where other departments,
It's the same thing for other departments, like OGS, you have parks, you have facility, you have all of that. So it's-
Legal.
Yeah. Yeah. Like OGS, just right there, you can OGS comprise of a whole bunch of code enforcement falls under OGS.
yeah, guess it's a lot.
All right, go ahead, please.
So I have maybe I was wrong.
I'm trying not to ignore something like that.
But maybe, so where'd it go? Deputy Commissioner of Finance. Just in the conversations we had, I almost thought that position, we wanted to fund that line so that we could hire someone into that position. And the starting rate, we talked about it the other night, the starting range would be like from 94 up to 120 something, anticipating a retirement where this deputy position may go into the Commissioner of Finance position. So we're talking about a position that's may not even be open right now.
That is correct, yes.
Right, okay. So I'm gonna step back that I would be in favor of that line and that line only.
Oh,
Okay,
got it.
that's my error.
Okay,
That line at what percentage?
Here.
At well,
Oh,
the recommendation from Mr. Ferrari for that
The
100.
12803,
we were all over the map, so,
the third column is the council changes.
yeah, no, the 25% is.
Yeah, Mr. Ferrari recommended
You're okay with it?
consider it
Yes.
a par to 100,000, and I think everybody was in line with his recommendation of 100,000. Yes. So you are in favor of that and that only?
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
I thought that Mr. Ferrari recommended 120,000.
He
He recommended, I see.
he recommended 100,000, and that's where the
Okay, yeah, no, I have it, It has Anthony,
Yeah,
100,000.
none of us
Yep,
put that
I have
number.
it, I wrote it down even. Yep.
Yes. Okay, I'm gonna go around this table just because of the sake of time.
Yeah.
Mr. Joe,
I'm good with this.
you could look
Yeah.
across the board?
Yep.
Okay, Ms. Porterfield,
I'm fine with this.
Carl,
Yes.
Damani,
Yes.
Ms. Patrick.
I'm-
I'm in favor of this one. Respect your position, nothing wrong with that.
Absolutely. Thank you.
I respect everybody having a seat at the table and express yourself, and it's respected. Don't feel any way out of it.
Just to be clear, you said none, right?
Yeah.
I said no.
No?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mr. Farley said
Yeah.
no, I wasn't sure if you heard it.
Me and Mr. Toro
So you said
both
no.
said no, right?
You said no
Oh, I
across.
thought you said no, I thought you said yes.
So you-
No.
Oh.
Yes on one, no
Gotcha.
on all the others, and you were
But
saying,
the question was about everything, right?
yes.
Okay, yeah.
So you're saying no across the board?
Yeah, I'm saying no. Yeah. No.
Okay. So there's 5 yes on this, to compromise on this here.
Okay,
Nothing wrong with that, I appreciate your honesty on that. Any other, so this is all the recommendation that we have at this point in time. The one recommendation that I spoke about last night is to increase the revenue line on the delinquent violation fee. Right now it's at 60,000, and based on conversation when we were doing the fee alignment, we talked about, and Assistant Chief brought us to, in line with that they did a couple months ago or a couple weeks ago,
Yeah.
they brought in $30,000 already. So I'm thinking 60,000 might be, too conservative. So I would like to recommend that we look at that, open mind to Monday, to maybe possible look at doubling that, because I think they have the capacity and the resource now with the agency on board to go well beyond that.
I'd just like to ask the chief or whoever's running it, that $30,000 came in, because I did mention Mr. Ferrari last night, but we hadn't written that debt off a long time ago, and he said that he couldn't. Is that correct?
I'm sorry, was that?
Writing off the debt of it's been how many years, we should have written it
Oh.
off by now.
oh, that's what you're talking about.
But
That's
so,
you.
I guess my next question is that 30,000, how many, is that for the past 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, because I don't think we're gonna personally recover 10, 12 years.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no,
No,
we're
no,
not.
no, no.
That's what I'm saying.
I'd like to know what that 30,000 was from.
Yeah, it's for, the newer sort of violation, not the older one there. if we were to look at all entire, it's about $4 million. It's impossible for us to do that.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody's
No,
gonna do that.
I understand that, but the money that's coming in, is it recent money? Is it 90 days, 60 days, 90 days?
No, it's over
120
six,
days?
it's over six
Over
months. He
six-
did mention it's over 6 months outstanding.
But what's the recovery rate prior to that?
Well, that's what they're working now with the
Good.
new agency to
Right.
aggressively go after these delinquent fees
Right.
and to
Understood.
get paid.
Right.
But I mean, they started up in the last couple of months and they, give them credit, they're doing a good job in terms of
Absolutely.
collecting that additional revenue. But I still think it's too low. I'm not asking, I think it should double, but I'm not asking anybody at this point in time. I'm just throwing that out for Monday. Table that, I can ask Brian to come back in
That'd be good.
and to give us a little snapshot more on that, to refresh us. But it's something that we can increase one revenue at least to help offset some of these in and out here, that is going on here. Because I would like to still see that down the road that we maintain our contingency at 300,000. And that's one of my focuses to look at. If we can up that line, we will put that back, that revenue,
Okay.
into contingency. Because this adjustment that we're making here, it's a negative. So it's not, it's a good impact on the general fund. All right, I think we started out, but I think we ended a little good. It's not where we wanted to be, but we are going to, if there's no other business, am I missing anything?
Yeah, so before Monday, if the council can just help me with like kind of the rationale as to like what the justification is for where we raises that we got in. You guys want to just like, you could shoot an email or something like that.
What was the justification?
Yeah, so I guess I'm a little confused because I feel like we're making considerations based on like what one department head is saying, but then we're not making our considerations based on another department head. And I just want to make sure that how we're making our decisions. So it'd be good for me to see it out, and then maybe I can get there. Maybe I'm just not catching.
But I think it was discussed here, Glenn, so I'm not sure why an email needs to fix. Let me just recap that.
You want me to clarify the question?
No, I got a
Okay,
question.
okay.
I got a question. But these that are on this here
Mm-hmm.
came before us and asked for consideration. And some of them, we are looking at $600 and $179. Those were default.
Sure.
Those two
Yeah,
happened by default. We're not gonna even discuss that.
that's not my question.
The other three came before us for recommendation. And that's what the mayor sent out an email today asking his department head if they have any question about their salary,
Mm-hmm.
they should show up at the meeting and be ready to speak and ask the council
Right.
for recommendation
Right. That's not my
about their
question.
salary.
That's
Now,
not my
you
question.
see- Yeah, no, I'm trying to say, your rationale. The rationale is that here we have people coming here and making a pitch
Yes.
because they weren't satisfied.
Yes.
And today there was an email asking the entire all the department head to come, if they're not satisfied, to come before us.
Right. That's
Okay, fine.
so. Again, that's so.
I think I'm not gonna put
So
words
no,
in.
it's fine. I welcome it because my question, everything you just said, I agree 100%. So we're on the same page with that.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is that what I'm hearing via the conversation around the table is that there's things that considering like, years of service in one situation. I'm like, okay, I could see why that would make sense. And then that might not be the same scenario for other people who've came forward. So maybe we don't have to make that consideration because it's not there. But there's a significant difference in some of these percentages here. And the largest one, what I heard was Mr. Ferrari, who's the department head, he made that recommendation and we all went with his recommendation. So,
Well, Okay, I'll
That-
let you finish.
That definitely was said, I'm not saying you said that.
No, no,
I'm saying, but that
I
was
will
said.
say, the original recommendation you've lowered.
No, I understand what the
Okay,
original.
let's not have a debate, let's talk.
No,
And we'll go to the
I'm
next
not
one.
debating.
No, just
I'm
asking
really
people
not.
to feel, yes.
So what I'm saying is, because I'm just saying based on what I'm heard, so what I'm saying is that I wanna just get the rationale behind why we would take the recommendation of one department head and maybe not another. Why we would consider, positions that are not, or vacant, not vacant yet, like there's other calculations that are happening in one consideration, so I'm just trying to see like what's our rationale for, to see if we're doing that in an equitable manner. And the way I would be able to do that is if I had those rationales and, because I'm hearing different things at different times and put into conversation. So if I had something to go, okay, this council member says, I agree with this because of the department head. I'm just using that because that's the most glaring example. Well, you're saying that because the department head made that recommendation, well, our other department head another department head made other recommendations. So I guess that's what I'm trying to figure out the rationale. That's all.
And you want individuals to email you just what their
Sure. I mean,
individual
if you-
rationale is, to
Yeah.
try to help, okay.
Yeah, just so I could, because the conversation has definitely taken on different.
Well, because we're all individuals, right?
Right, which is why, but
Right.
even individuals, like I'm hearing
I
like
know.
first it's this and then you're considering that, all valid considerations. I'm just saying, I would just like to see, make sure that we're doing that in an equitable manner. And the way you do that is by kind of looking at the data points.
So what I'm taking away from this is that we need to reach out to Ms. Carver and Mr. Ferrari for a rationale as to why.
No, but I'm not asking that.
Yeah, that would then, you'd be able to see why,
No,
the one position,
if you ask me what my question is, you gotta allow me to tell you, because that's not, because what I'm saying is based on the information that we got. If they've given you a rationale, that's okay, but what we're saying is that you're going on the recommendation based on the department head. So what I'm saying to you, if we're gonna go on a recommendation based on one department head and not another one, I'd like to figure out why that is.
well, I do want to just say though, that if you look at the positions that are there, just those, we didn't go on the recommendation of we did go on the recommendation of the department head as a compromise, that department had made a compromise. But the other person on there that's a department head, is recommending, that person's own salary. Because that's not what her particular supervisor was recommending, actually. Right?
Sure, but didn't another department head recommend their own salary too?
I don't think so. I'm
Yes.
looking at those five. Who is
Didn't?
That is
So we
correct.
left it as is.
Maybe,
We left it as is.
That department was before us and made that recommendation.
I'm sorry.
That department head was
Yeah.
here and made that recommendation before us.
That's all. I mean,
And,
guys, we could.
I'm sorry,
sleep on
both
it.
department heads was before us, Ms. Ferrari, Ms. Carver, and they both recommend that. And yes, it was discussed publicly. All right? If you need any clarification, we can have more clarification. on
Yeah,
it.
just send it to me. That's what I'm saying.
No, we'll have Mr. Ferrari is gonna be here Monday.
Maybe.
Okay.
And we'll have him, make that recommendation. Ms. Carver, unfortunately, will not be here.
I wasn't-
That's my understanding.
For clarity, I wasn't confused as to what Mr. Ferrari's recommendation was. What my confusion is as the function of the council is, I'm trying to better get a clear understanding as to how we got to the decision, because based on what I'm hearing at the table, how we're getting to the decision is, what I heard at the table was the department head recommended that, and that's what we went with that. Well, I'm saying there was another department head who recommended something else too, so I'm just saying, let's really be.
Yeah, but I think how we arrived at it, and Ms. Patrick is so correct, it was a compromise. Because it was
Well, I was
back
just
and
gonna
forth
say,
with
it was
Mr.
a
Ferrari.
compromise. That's exactly what I was gonna say,
Yes.
because remember that I started out by only wanting to do 3%.
Yeah.
So, the whole thing was a compromise on in terms of my decision-making personally, I was compromising to meet the will of the larger group, because I would not have given the higher raises, except for that one individual. I mean, I think I made that clear earlier, remember?
Yeah,
I said
but
3% except for that one person.
not that one individual, but that one position is what
The
you're
one
saying.
position,
Right,
yes,
right,
yes,
right, no,
yes,
just
yes,
for clarity,
yes,
no,
yes.
I understand what you're saying.
But yeah, so I mean, I was compromising up in my regard, in my case.
And that
And I
happened
think
with,
that you said no, right? So you didn't, you know,
But
and,
you help me here.
Sure.
You just want, help him get some data, help him, because also, it was, it's always been about the position, not the employee.
Yes,
So
sure.
now all of a sudden, so help him understand why you're doing what you're doing in an email. And he just wants a little more clarification. Correct?
Correct, I feel like I've been, what I'm saying is that I want to get where others are at. And I believe people are acting in good faith. Again, I know we're tired and we're getting frustrated. What I'm saying is that it would help me understand how you got, me be able to maybe get there if I understood how you got there, because based on what the conversation is at the table tonight, from what I'm hearing, there's different factors that are being considered for different positions. And I want to make sure that if I say, oh yeah, that's okay, that makes sense to me, I'd like to make sure that we're making those decisions in an equitable manner. That's all.
Any other discussion? Okay, so we're gonna have to recess until 5:30. I'm putting this item on the finance committee. We'll call the finance committee to order, recess, and then complete the business for that day, and then we'll reconvene at the end and continue the budget discussion on Monday. Okay? Any other business for the finance committee? Seeing none, I ask a motion to recess until 5:30 next Monday.
so moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you so much. Y'all have a good weekend.
All right.
Yep.
Questions, as usual. Derek is standing there, he's not going home.
Well,
Yes,
Yes.
so that's what he's saying.